Good evening and welcome to the Tuesday, May 16, 2017 regular meeting of the City Council. The meeting will now come to order. Tonight's invocation will be given by Community Relations Pastor and Faith Community Church and West Covina Police Chaplain Kelly Dupay, and then followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, which I will lead.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we're so thankful tonight to live and work in the great city of West Covina. We're thankful to be citizens of the United States of America. We're thankful, God, that you watch over us and protect us. God, we pray your blessing upon this meeting tonight. Lord, we pray that you would give our city council wisdom, Lord, as they decide the different issues that are before them this evening. Father, once again, we pray your blessing upon all of our police and firefighters who serve our city and serve our community. God, that you would keep them safe. Lord, that you watch over them and give them success in all that they do to keep us safe. And so, Lord, we thank you for your blessing tonight. We thank you for your blessing upon our nation and on all of our families as well. In Jesus' name, amen.
Will the Assistant City Clerk please call the roll to the council?
Councilman Johnson?
Here.
Councilmember Toma?
Here.
Councilman Wu?
Yep.
Mayor Pro Tem Spence?
Here.
Mayor Warshaw?
Here. Madam City Attorney, are there any items to be reported out of closed session?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, there are two items. One item was related to an item of anticipated litigation that was very slightly misidentified on a prior agenda, was re-agendized to cure any Brown Act concern about that item. No action was taken other than the fact that there was a cure. The second item is with respect to the conference with real property negotiators, which is the first item listed on the closed session agenda. The council acted on a motion by Councilman Wu, seconded by Councilman Johnson, and approved on a 4-to-1 vote to extend the ENA with Sincoli to September 1st of 2017, and Councilman Toma dissented from that.
Thank you. Mr. City Manager, are there any changes to tonight's agenda?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There are no changes to tonight's agenda.
Thank you. And with that, we have some presentations to do. So tonight we have a lot of people from West Covina High School here. And you probably are, most of you that are not with a high school are probably wondering why. It's because they have been doing very well and have won a lot of awards and recognition. First, I'd like to call forward Fred Myers and the West Covina School Athletic Decathlon team. And I'm going to turn it over to you to introduce them and tell them about.
Okay, perfect. Good evening. My name is Stephen Glass. I'm the proud principal of West Covina High School, and I'm pleased to introduce to everyone our academic decathlon team. And this particular team, they're very well prepared and very well acknowledged for going out there, competing against some of the most remarkable students in the United States. And specifically, they won second place in the Super Quiz. And we're very proud of them for that achievement.
And would you like to introduce each of them?
I think I'll let them introduce us. I know Miss Baroy. Just introduce yourself.
I'm Marion Baroy. I'm a junior in high school.
Hello, I'm Safanat Sumra, and I'm a sophomore in high school.
I'm Diego Portillo, and I'm a junior in high school.
I will take that. And so the City of West Covina is proud to recognize the West Covina High School Academic Decathlon team on receiving the second place Super Quiz Division 3. And if you'd like to hold that. Thank you. I would like to now call forward Celestine Denson and the West Covina High School Dance Drill Team. I guess I'm going to let you do the introduction.
I have multiple names. I did. I had a haircut. Hello, I'm Celestine Denson, and I'm representing the dance drill team. The dance drill team also performed very well this year, and the national competition, aside from winning various regional as well as state competition, the national competition, they won first time after 3 years the small military USA national competition. So we want to please them. We're pleased with that. We want to thank them for their hard work. Okay, we're going to have the students introduce themselves.
I'm Carmen McLean, and I'm a senior in high school.
I'm Megan Bernardo. I'm a junior in high school.
My name's Cassidy Lamb, and I'm a junior.
Hi, everyone. I'm Danielle, and I'm a senior.
My name's Eliana, and I'm a sophomore.
Thank you. In the City of West Covina, the City Council is pleased to recognize West Covina High School Dance Drill Team on receiving the 2017 USA National Champions Small Military. Congratulations. Okay, I'll try again and see if we get them up. I would like to now call up Brittany Robles and the West Covina High School Hip Hop, all male and all female team. Just a small group. Keep on moving down if you can. Maybe we can put the shorter people in the front row. Make 2 rows. 2 rows. You're Brittany. And I'm going to give this to Brittany to introduce the team and why we're recognizing them.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Brittany Robles, and I'm the advisor of the hip hop program.
My name is Valerie Ramirez. I'm one of the head directors of the hip hop program.
And I'm Carrie Calkins. I'm also one of the directors of the hip hop program.
We're super proud of the kids and pleased to say that not only did they come in and rank #1 in the hip hop division for the high school circuit in the nation, but they did it for 3 years in a row. So we're extremely proud of that. But we're also pleased to say that this was the first year we introduced an all-female team, and they went undefeated as well, and they were ranked #1 for their division in the nation as well this year.
And if we can have each of you give your name and what year you're in.
Hello, my name's Haven Peabody, and I'm a senior.
Hi, I'm Alexis Alvarez, and I'm a senior at West Covina High School.
Hi, I'm Ashley Hall, and I'm a sophomore at West Covina High School.
Hi, my name is Ayana, and I'm a freshman in high school.
My name's Anthony Rojas, and I'm a junior.
Hi, my name is Michael Loyola, and I'm a freshman.
Hi, I'm Joshua Monroy, and I'm a sophomore.
Hi, I'm Justin Olato, and I'm a senior.
Hi, I'm Angel Ortiz, and I'm a junior.
Hi, I'm Ralph Santos, and I'm a junior.
I'm John Slager, and I'm a sophomore.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Gonzalez, and I'm a sophomore.
Hi, I'm John Garcia, and I'm a senior.
Hi, I'm Andre Diocariz, and I'm a senior.
Hi, I'm Tristan, and I'm a freshman.
Hi, I'm Nick Shishido, and I'm a senior.
Hi, I'm Brian. Hello, I'm Brian Tong, and I'm a junior.
Hi, I'm Andrew Venegas, and I'm a junior.
Hi, I'm Alex Osorio, and I'm a sophomore.
Hi, I'm Angel Carvajal, and I'm a senior.
Hi, I'm Fernando Medina, and I'm a junior.
Hi, I'm Aaron Chow, and I'm a senior.
Hi, I'm Logan DeProza, and I'm a senior.
Hi, I'm Myra. I'm a senior.
Hi, I'm JC Fernandez, and I'm a sophomore.
Hi, I'm Jaime, and I'm a freshman.
Hello, my name is Brianna, and I'm a junior.
Hi, I'm Michael Mariano, and I'm a senior.
And so what you didn't know, and they didn't, is they're going to perform right now. I'm kidding. There we go. So the City of West Covina and the City Council is pleased to recognize the West Covina High School Hip Hop All-Male and All-Female on receiving the 2017 USA National Champions Large, Medium, and Small Hip Hop. Congratulations. So if you will hold back. And while they're all being seated, I would like to now call forward Annie Tam and the West Covina High School Robotics RAWC Team 968. And Annie, I'm going to turn this over to you. And Annie is the advisor for the robotics team. And if you could tell us a little bit about the team.
Hi, I'm Annie Tam. I'm the advisor of the robotics team. We have accomplished a lot this season. We came in second in San Diego Regionals. We came in fifth at the Idaho Regionals. We came in second at the Las Vegas Regionals, which got us to the World Championship in Houston. There were over 421 teams around the world that participated in the World Championship. We came in 55th. It was a great experience. They had lots of fun. It was great to see teams from Turkey, from China, from Brazil, from Australia. Like it was amazing. So great job, guys.
Great. And if each of you will give your name and what year you are.
Hi, I'm Justin Richter, and I'm a freshman.
I'm Tyler Rodriguez Bocanegra. I'm a sophomore in high school.
I'm Travis Rodriguez Bocanegra. I'm a freshman in high school.
Hi, I'm Nathan Hahn, and I'm a junior.
I'm Kenny Hu, and I'm a junior.
I'm Andrew Pan, I'm a senior.
My name is Yuling Zhang, and I'm a sophomore.
My name is Daniel Lopez. I am a junior.
My name is Hector Casas, and I'm a junior.
I'm Damian Albitris, and I'm a sophomore.
I'm Wesley Pan, and I'm a freshman.
I'm Patrick Kongpo, and I'm a freshman.
My name's Saul Cisneros, and I'm a freshman.
And while they're getting ready, the City of West Covina City Council is pleased to recognize West Covina High School Robotics RAWC Team 968 on receiving 55th place in the division. That's out of 421 teams. The 2017 First FRC World Championship. Congratulations. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations. Great job. Lastly, I'd like to call forward Mulaney Wong and the West Covina High School ASB Student Leadership Team. And Mulaney will tell you a little bit about the leadership team.
Hello, I'm the activities director at West Covina High School, and for us, this past year, we sent a delegation of student leaders to the California Association of Student Leaders State Conference, and at this conference, there's an opportunity for some of our officers to submit a very extensive portfolio and self-study, examining just student leadership at West Covina High School and how that's developed throughout all our programs, and that extends beyond ASB into all our student groups, and how many of our student teams, programs are student-driven by student leadership. So we are proud at West Covina High School to have a very student-centered activities program, and these guys standing next to me are the ones who do so much behind the scene to foster that culture and that environment. So I'll let them introduce themselves.
Hello, I'm Jenny Zanger. I'm a junior, and I'm Commissioner of Recognition.
Hello, my name is Amy Nguyen. I'm a senior, and I'm Commissioner of Clubs.
Hello, my name is Isabel Serenas. I am a senior, and I'm currently serving term as ASB Vice President.
I'm Mariana Escobedo. I'm a sophomore, and I am secretary of clubs.
Hi, I'm Crystal Beltran. I'm a senior, and I am serving as ASB president.
Hi, I'm Natalie Romero. I'm a senior, and I'm senior class president.
Greetings, I'm Rich Valenzuela. I'm a senior, and I am secretary of events.
Thank you. So again, the City of West Covina City Council is pleased to recognize the West Covina High School ASB student leadership on receiving the California Association for Student Leaders 2017 Outstanding Leadership Program Award. Congratulations to all of you. And if you'll all move in a little. So let's give one more hand to all the West Covina High School teams. But we don't want to leave out the other side of West Covina. So let's talk about South Hills High School for being awarded the California Gold Ribbon Award. For that, I will call forward Dr. Matt Dalton. How are you, Matt? Good, how are you? Good. And if you'll tell us a little bit about the award.
Absolutely. I am the proud principal of the other high school in West Covina, South Hills. We are proud to represent Covina Valley Unified School District, and of course, on behalf of the city of West Covina, we're one of 275 schools in the state of California to receive one of the highest awards recognized by the state. We're doing amazing things at South Hills. We're proud of a lot of the programs we do, and I think what we're doing at the school speaks for itself. Thank you so much for honoring us tonight.
Thank you, Matt. And the City of West Covina, the City Council is proud to recognize South Hills High School for receiving the 2016 California Golden Ribbon Award. Congratulations. And now I'd like to call forward Paige Christensen from Roland Avenue Elementary, along with Autumn William for Grove Setter Elementary, Dr. Matt Kodama from Trawick Middle School, and Dr. Matt Dalton again from South Hills. Come on down. Oh, that would be great.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Emmenheiser. I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Covina Valley Unified School District, and we are really thankful to the City Council and the city for recognizing our schools today. These schools were actually recognized by the Campaign for Business and Educational Excellence. With their partnership, they identify schools within California for their outstanding academic achievement and closing the achievement gap. And Roland Elementary, Grove Center Elementary, Trawick Middle School, and South Hills High School all received the honor roll award from them. So.
Thank you for that. You did a much better job than I would have. So, the City of West Covina and the City Council is proud to recognize Roland Avenue Elementary School for receiving the 2016 California Honor Roll Award. Roland, thank you.
Wonderful.
And let's see, get a picture. And Trawick Middle School. So City Council is proud to recognize Trawick Middle School for receiving the 2016 California Honor Roll Award. Congratulations. And Grove Center Elementary School. The City of West Covina and the City Council is proud to recognize Grove Center Elementary School for receiving the 2016 California Honor Roll Award. Thank you. Thank you. The City of West Covina City Council is proud to recognize South Hills High School for receiving the 2016 California Honor Roll Award. Congratulations. What an excellent job all of our schools here in West Covina have done this year. So I'd like to now call forward Bill Carnahan, and he will be doing a presentation on the LA Community Choice Energy Program. Hi, how are you?
Mr. Mayor, nice to see you. Guess I'm going to do it from here.
I'll let you do it right here.
I have some.
Okay. What was that?
Yeah, they probably have to get
Oh,
homework.
yeah. So do you guys want to stay and listen, or are you leaving? They want to hear what you have to say. Oh, no, they're gone. We'll give them a couple of minutes.
Yeah, it's fine. I don't think.
Actually, what I'll do is I'll let you do it.
Okay, thank you. and the brightest crowd I've ever seen at a city council meeting. So I thought I was in big trouble to start with. That's terrific. They bring a lot of energy, don't they?
With that, Bill, I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right, thank you very much. Hopefully I'll be able to coordinate the slides here. Are we ready? I don't know, looks like they're deep in thought over there. Well, while she's doing that, let me just say I appreciate the opportunity, Mr. Mayor and members of the council, to come and talk to you about an ongoing program that's been underway for a couple of years. The LA County has been looking at the creation of a community choice aggregation plan with a joint powers agency to afford the cities in LA County, some 80 plus cities, an opportunity to join together in a joint powers agency to give your residents a choice in terms of their energy suppliers. And I might add right up at the top is that you're not locking them in. The choice also includes staying with Edison where they are today. So you're actually affording them a free opportunity. So tonight I'll give you a staff update. I know that the city manager and his staff have given you periodic updates from time to time, but we'll hopefully not cover any ground that you don't already know about. But the county started this process about 2 years ago, and I can't get the thing to go. Why isn't it go? Oh, there we go. The state legislature and the governor enacted a law about 4 years ago for communities like West Covina to create community choice aggregation systems. And in those systems, the energy portion of the electric bill is supplied by the CCA rather than by Edison. And this is doesn't cover public power systems like LADWP. And the state law allows cities to do that. Edison basically treats the energy as a pass-through, so they've sort of redefined their business model as being in the wires business. They get paid to continue to deliver the energy over their system for a fee. The CCAs pay for that. They continue to do the billing, and there's a line item on the bill saying that the energy comes from the CCA. So we've had several meetings with them to implement the CCA and the JPA, and they're, I can't speak for them that they're supportive, but they certainly are working with us in a very business-like fashion to get all of that done. There are community choice systems in Northern California. There's 6 or 8 of them. Some of them have actually been in business for a couple of years, and we'll talk about those in a little bit. But if you look at the chart here, the left side is the traditional investor-owned utility delivery model today. And the top box, they go out. Edison doesn't own their own generation. They go out in the market, they buy it, then they pass it through to the customers, to the end-use customers. They do that through their transmission and distribution system, metered with their meters, and the bill is sent by them. Under the community choice aggregation model, that first box, the top box, which is the energy portion, is supplied by the CCA. That's one component. The county model also includes the creation of a joint powers agency, which is a number of cities. There are some 80 cities in LA County becoming a partner. It's not a LA County entity. It's a joint powers agency. They are one member representing the customers in the unincorporated areas of LA County. So they'll have one vote, one seat, just like every other member. So they have provided the impetus to do the feasibility studies, to do the writing of the joint action powers agreement, providing some startup capital, which you'll see later on. So what we're talking about in terms of forming the JPA is to gain the economies of scale. If you're in the marketplace and offering programs or offering energy deliveries, the bigger the better in many respects. So if you look at what the studies have shown us so far, all right, I seem to be going between the same 2 slides here all of a sudden. Wait, there we go. One of the studies showed that the possible benefits of the JPA and the CCA is that you're able to offer really 3 blocks or 3 types of services to the potential customers. And the individual customers have the choice of what delivery they want, including staying with Edison under an opt-out kind of a basis. So the first one is what's called the RPS model. Right now, the state of California requires 33%, up in 2020, 33% of all the energy delivered by the IOUs is renewable. So that's sort of the base case here. For customers who want a higher level of renewable in their mix, we're offering a 50% renewable model, and for those who really want 100%, they can get that as well. So the role that West Covina would play as the CCA in terms of planning would be to sort of set the goal or the model for West Covina. Do you want to be in, and there's no right answer here, do you want to be in the category where you get lower rates? Then you take the RPS model. If you're in a community that wants more renewables, you take a higher model. And all that is so the JPA can plan the resource mix. Now, the individual customers have the right beyond that to opt for any of those rates that they want. So you're not locking them in even to that choice. The end-use customer has the final choice on what their blend is going to be. If they don't like what's being offered by the JPA, they can opt out of the JPA and the CCA and continue to receive service from Edison. So you're actually offering them a choice, not locking them in to any of the particular models. And you can see under all of the models compared to the Edison rates, the rates are lower. So historically, the CCAs in California, based on their experience, it's been about 5%. The rate differential is about 5% across the board on average. The other thing you gain by this model is that if you opt, sorry about this, I'm an engineer too. I should think I know how to run. All right. Number 4. Actually, at this point, I probably ought to say I'm actually not an employee of the county. I'm under contract with the county, and I'm serving as the interim executive director for the JPA. I used to run a JPA, the Southern California Public Power Authority, SCAPA, which is a municipal JPA, for about 15 years. And so my job is to get the participants in, get them organized, create the board, start to hire staff down the road, and I'm not going to be a candidate for the permanent staff, but I'm here to try to help the JPA get up and operating in a business-like manner and get that job done. The other benefit that you get under this scenario is you actually can decrease overall greenhouse gases because you're introducing more renewables in your mix compared to the base case. You can see if you go with 100% renewables, you can reduce your greenhouse gas footprint by about 27%. I don't know. All right, number 5. Okay. So what are the benefits of having local control? You as members of the CCA will set the rates, and with the average being about 5.3% below Edison's rates for LA County customers, and what they're representing in the JPA, all the customers in the unincorporated area. The feasibility study showed that would generate about $20 million a year in savings, and those savings would generate about 200 new jobs in the county and would add about $16 million to the county economy. One of the things that the JPA will be looking at is local projects, local generation, PV projects, those kinds of things, photovoltaic projects. And the construction of one 50-megawatt solar project in the county creates about 1,500 jobs during construction and about 15 full-time permanent jobs. And based upon the projected loads, the JPA could use several dozen of these projects to provide local reliability and local generation. Number 6. The main benefit of the CCA concept and the JPA is customer choice, as I've tried to tell you before. The customers can choose what level of service they want, and if they don't want it, they can opt out. The opt-out rate historically among the CCAs in California is about 5%. So 95% of the customers choose to remain with the CCA and not opt back to Edison. So I think that's a pretty strong endorsement of the concept, and some of those JPAs are a couple of years old now. We maintain local control instead of having the PUC in San Francisco set the rates, and the rates are based upon an average of Southern California. You can actually look at what makes the most sense for West Covina. You're not a cookie cutter. You're getting some individualized attention, and you maintain that local control. Number 7, we talk about the business plan. LA County started out doing a sort of a view from 20,000 feet feasibility study. That took some period of time, about a year. They then went back to the city, the LA Board of Supervisors. I'm used to working with city councils. I've dealt with them for 50 years, so it's hard for me to think in county board of supervisor terms. But that came back to them and said, here's where we are. We took a look. It seems to make sense to go forward. Do you authorize us to go to the next step and take another cut at a more detailed level? And they chose to do that, and that culminated about a year later. About 3 weeks ago, the package was taken to the Board of Supervisors that said that the regional program made sense. It should include and be open to all the cities in the county on an equal basis. They come in, and the JPA arrangement was not created just by the county. As it was being developed, interested cities came and sent representatives over the space of about 4 months. They had biweekly meetings to develop the JPA agreement, and that is how the JPA is going to operate. So it wasn't the county's vision of how they think it should operate. It was collaboration with the cities who were willing to take the time at that period of time. However, I can tell you that's about the time I came into the scene a couple of months ago when that was finished up. The goal there was to push as many of the decisions off to the new JPA board as possible, so that this small group of cities and the county weren't trying to make those kind of decisions for the ultimate participants in the JPA. So one of the things they will be able to do is craft the JPA operationally and organizationally and set their own goals and do their own strategic planning once they're seated. So it's fairly generic when you look at what it can do and the way it's organized, but I think that's really by design. Number, I guess that's 9 or 8. When are we? 8. On April 18th, about a month ago, the council, the Board of Supervisors approved LACCE, the LA County Community Choice Energy Program. That's the JPA. And they approved the county becoming a CCA to represent those customers in LA County. And they also, more importantly, provided $10 million in startup funding, which is always, for anybody starting a new endeavor, or even a new business, you have to have startup capital. And the county has pledged that $10 million. They pledged it as a loan. They obviously had no interest, would like to get paid back once the JPA is up and operating, but nonetheless, they provided that startup capital. And they started the plan for implementation, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And that was approved unanimously by the Board of Supervisors. Now, the governance of the JPA is that each participant, each city and the county, have one seat on the board. And that seat is to be an elected official, local elected official. One of you folks would be on the board. You have 2 alternates, and the recommendation is that one of those alternates be a technical person of some kind that sort of understands the business. Not that you all don't, but you have lots of other demands on your time. It could be a staff member, it could be another council member, and there are 2 to act on behalf of the sitting board member, which is one of you sitting in that capacity. It is one entity, one vote, except under certain very specific circumstances when you can call for a weighted vote. But in all joint action agencies, there are 2 criteria you're trying to balance. One is the little guys don't want the big guys to run over them, and the big guys don't want the little guys to control all of the agenda. So what you have to do is have a way, if there's a dispute, then you have to, you then can go to a weighted vote. It takes 3 members, so the largest participant might be, who knows, over 50% of the size. They can't control it because they have to have two other partners to call for a weighted vote. And the motion that they're voting on has to have been approved, not defeated, okay? So there's checks and balances, and a lot of this came from the cities. And having run a joint action agency where I had the municipal utilities the size of LADWP on one side and Banning on the other, and everything in between, And in my 16 years there, I don't think we ever had a weighted vote. So it tends to work that people, if they're of like mind when they get in, then it's pretty easy to make the decisions going forward. Number 11, it's anticipated there would be standing committees. There would be an executive committee. It would be a portion of the board members, because it could get to be 20 or 30 participants as we go along, and so you may want a smaller group to make some of the recommendations to the board, analyze these things. There's a finance committee, and then there's a community advisory committee where each participant sends one person. They can be a person from the community, they can be a staff member, they can be whoever you want it to be, to provide some independent, they're advisory to the board, give the board advice sort of at the grassroots level. Now, this is not without risks. Any venture has risks, and the key is if you can identify those risks and you can mitigate those risks as you go forward. And the county plan attempts to do that. The primary risks are you could have sudden changes in the energy market, which would also be true if you continue to be an Edison customer for that matter, but nonetheless, that's there. You could have a higher than expected opt-out rate, so you had fewer participants in the community. That hasn't proven to be the case, but it could. There could be unreasonable cost imposed by Edison in this process. They could decide that this is an opportunity to make a profit, and they could make your exit fee costs take out all your headroom. And so we're working very closely with Edison. The commission Public Utilities Commission is watching to make sure that those costs are truly what the costs are, because you can imagine if you're opting out of their system and they have contracts they've made on your behalf, you need to keep the remaining customers of Edison whole, okay? So that you don't have the whole cost of the contracts to look at, because you can sell it in the market, so it's not gross, it's a net number, but you're paying that now anyway. So if that flows through to the CCA and it flows back to those same customers, it's not an increase. It's just a displacement of where the money goes and comes from. There could be new laws or regulations that come about. I mean, I don't have to tell you that the legislature has lots of ideas, and some of those impact cities and utilities and others. And so the JPA will have to be vigilant in terms of watching what's going on in Sacramento, both in terms of the regulatory agencies and the PUC. But there are ways to mitigate that. You do a varied and broad portfolio, so you don't have any problems in that area. You participate in the legislative and regulatory process to protect your interests, just like you do as a city. And so there are ways to stay on top of that and minimize those risks. Some of the key questions that we get and this is probably the 5th or 6th presentation I've made to city councils. There are actually, by the way, 3 of us working on this project, and we're all 3 making presentations tonight at city council, so lots of interest in terms of people wanting to know what we're doing. One of them is, what happens to the franchise fee? If a portion of the service is taken over by the CCA and the JPA. Franchise fee is unaffected. That's actually levied on a customer basis, so it's the same regardless of who's providing that service. So there's no change in the franchise fee. I don't know if you all have a UUT. You do not. Okay, but for those folks, they would see a small hit because it's levied on revenues in that service area. And to the extent that the JPA's rates are lower than Edison's, there's less revenue to apply it to. So whatever the rate differential is, that would be the hit to the UUT, okay? But that's a small price to pay because your residents are keeping those dollars in their pockets. So, but in the interest of full disclosure, we took a look at that issue. You'll also get the opportunity, one of the things I've been pushing for is the opportunity to try to gain some control over the public goods charge or the public benefit charge, the end-use programs that relate to energy efficiency, low-income rate assistance. I think research and development and renewables are the 4 categories that money, it's 2.7% of gross revenues, gets applied to the retail customer. Right now, Edison and the PUC decide how that's going to be proportioned. And I will tell you that not all cities are the same. In Scapa, for example, we had Pasadena, for example, who was very tuned into renewables and energy efficiency and that sort of thing. And we had Vernon as a member. Now, they're very industrial, and so they don't need residential energy efficiency programs. They don't have very many residences. So their mix of how they spent their money was different than Pasadena. And so in this case, instead of being governed by sort of the cookie cutter, the rule of what's best for Edison's total area, you would get to customize that for what's best for West Covina, because you have that local control. I think there's opportunities to do other things as well. I would make an argument that the members of the JPA should have more to say about Edison's undergrounding program. They collect money from the residents here, but yet they decide how they're going to, they may not even spend the money here. Street lighting, those kinds of things where you gain more control over the service that's provided to your residents above and beyond just the energy that is being proposed. Edison continues to send the bill. We've been meeting with them a couple times a month for the last 6 or 8 months to make sure that when the bills go out, they are the same bill, except there's another line item that for the JPA for West Covina, and we would pay for that service, so that but it's the same cost as the customers are incurring today. It just goes to the CCA and then back to Edison, so that it doesn't make sense for us to duplicate any of the services that they can do better. Energy, they don't own their own generation anymore. They go out in the market and they buy it. So the CCA can go out in the market and buy it, and they're indifferent. They don't make a rate of return on that energy. So you're not impacting their bottom line in that regard, but because the JPA is nonprofit and has the attributes of city government, it can provide services cheaper. So the schedule is we're now have provided to the city a copy of the CCA creation for the cities, the JPA agreement, which you would also execute, and we're saying that as soon as we get our first city, and we've been out making presentations, and now we're ready for signups for the last couple of weeks, and we think probably within 30 to 60 days we'll probably have 6 or 8 cities signing up within that time frame. Now the advantage we're offering when the first entity comes in and the JPA becomes finalized and formal as a JPA, it takes 2 to tango, so there's the county and you need 1 more. As soon as we get 1 more, then that actually allows for the legal creation of LACCE, we're calling it LA Community Choice Energy, allows them to start to organize and start to get their board together. And so we're suggesting a 6-month sign-up period, so that those, and so we won't do a lot of that formation until we're 3 or 4 months down the road, because we need enough people in there to really get a cross-section. And then we're saying at the end of 6 months, the cities can still come in, but by that point, we'll have pretty much all of the development phase of the JPA together. So you'll lose out on that opportunity. And to the extent that the JPA has had any expenditures, there might be a cost for joining at that point. That's something the JPA will have to decide. So I'm here to tell you that we're available. The county is going to start with the county loads first, and they're actually going to start with their own facilities to start with. That way there's only 1 customer, so that if there's a glitch in the billing system, it only shows up and doesn't affect retail customers, a la the problems that some of the utilities in Southern California have had, where customers get upset and all that, because it's just the county. And excuse me. And then 6 months later, the county will make available its industrial and commercial loads and any loads of any cities that are in at that time. And you could decide to phase in your own service if you want to. You could start with West Covina's city loads if you wanted to, and then 6 months later do the citizens and that sort of thing. That's really totally up to you all. And then the third tranche is the residential customers 6 months later. So it's about an 18-month rollout period, but the county is going to go ahead. We're going to be going out with proposals for services, the back-end services and the energy supply services in a couple of weeks for the county loads only. And so that doesn't affect any other customers in the JPA, but it sort of gets our feet wet. And what we've done, we've said is that for any contracts that are entered into early on, they will be turned over to the JPA if the JPA wants them. If not, those contracts will be terminated and rebid, and the bidders know that going in. so that we're trying not to tie the hands of the successor board and the JPA. So, you know, we would hope that you would take it under advisement, work with the city manager and his staff. We're available to work with them or come back to you all at any point in time that you would like to have us answer questions, and hopefully you'll look favorably upon it, because I think it's a great opportunity, and lots of folks in California are going to be looking at it. So with that, I thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Are there any questions? Councilman Wu.
Yes. A quick question. Okay, so basically this is an option for the resident have a choice for different service for the power.
Yes.
So in that way, right now it's a monopoly by the Edison, so we only have one choice. Right. So what do you say is we're going to have two, the JPA and CCA, so we have three entity, the Edison, the JPA, and...
No, you have, you become a JPA, CCA, and you join the JPA all at the same time, okay?
So basically two choices, either JPA and Edison.
Yeah, but within the JPA, there are choices between the low renewable, 50% renewable, 100% renewable, or go back to Edison for the customer.
So what's the benefit for our residents? A cheaper energy bill?
Yes, yes. History has shown that the rate differential is about 5%, but you also have more local control over other decisions with regard to that.
So another question is, if you enroll in the JPA, then you just don't have Edison anymore, or you can have a choice for the resident, or if
no, the residents, if they don't feel that the CCA, JPA is for them, it's called an opt-out. When you sign up under the state law, you're actually signing up all the people in West Covina. And what you will tell the LACCE is, we're going to shoot, we think Covina should shoot for 50%, let's say, or the lowest, 33%. But the individual cut, so the JPA will use that for planning purposes, but the individual customers within West Covina can take any of those three rate options from the JPA or opt out and go back to Edison.
So roughly how much saving per household? Okay, 10% off or 5%? It's
about 5%. The rate differential is about 5%.
And how about the service? Something that power downs, who is going to pick up the service?
Edison, because in fact, we'll be keeping an eye on that, because the JPA is paying for that wheeling service. So we are actually talking to them about doing joint planning, you know, to make sure the system doesn't provides a delivery. They're in the wires business, they're in the delivery business, and you pay for that delivery. And so you want to make sure you're getting your money's worth. You want to make sure the system is maintained and can.
No, I like the competition. Okay, right now we have only monopoly by the Edison. I think if you have a choice, it's much better. But I'm kind of worried about the government wrong. Anything government wrong, then always kind of wasted.
Well, one of your colleagues will be on the board. So it's that level of government. There are lots of JPAs around. The JPAs are really just a way for governmental entities to band together to get economies of scale. And one of the things you want to do is, if you're in the power business, if you have economies of scale, you can have a more diverse portfolio, you can command better deals because the sizes are bigger, you know, but that's, you know, you will have a voice on all things that relate to that JPA. Okay.
Councilman Toma.
Thank you. I have a few questions. Just so I understand, you know, these different rates, the 0%, the 50%, or the 100% renewable. You said the city chooses one, but then the residents all have choice between those. How does that? What is the city choosing then exactly?
Well, we need to do planning. You have to do resource planning so you can build your portfolio of the resources you want in that portfolio. And it's going to look a lot different if everybody in the JPA said we want the 33% option than if everybody said we want the 100% option. But that's only for planning purposes. We have to have some place to start because there's kind of a wide variety.
Okay, so
what we would expect is for you all to give us a heads up or some advice on what you think your customers are going to want.
So that has nothing to do with our priorities or our policy. That's basically our estimate of what we think our residents will choose. Okay, so then on that, when you gave those different rates, you gave the comparable savings, you know, that, for example, like if you choose 100% renewable, that's like a 6.3% more expensive than, but you said it's an 11% savings from the comparable SCE rate.
The 6% is is above Edison's standard rate, just as Edison's 100% is above its
No,
standard
I understand that. So, but what I'm trying to understand is how do you get the 11%? I didn't know Southern California Edison offered this option to residents already in terms of, they do. So any resident right now can choose a sort of 100% renewable energy.
Right, at a higher
rate.
cost.
Interesting, okay.
Yeah.
And you said that LA County did the $10 million for the startup. Are you saying that there's no startup fees for any of the cities that decide to jump into this?
First 6 months.
For the first 6 months. So then what, but then you also talked about projects, possible projects.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So then would those be decisions that the JPA would have to make, which may take away from some of the, have to do a calculation as to the savings that the residents would get on their rates, because that would be a cost to the JPA?
Well, presumably, you wouldn't do a project unless there was a need for it, such as lowering the rates or keeping the rates stable. You have that option. And the way I would think of it is you want a portfolio that has short-term contracts, medium-term contracts, long-term contracts. But you might also want the JPA and its members might want some general resources of its own. Suppose you wanted to do a community solar project in West Covina. You know, that's a capital project, that's a resource. I'm not talking about big, huge resources, more local resources. The JPA could actually do that. They can issue bonds in their own name, you know, and that's off the city's books. It doesn't affect your credit. The agency that I was with before had rates that were considerably below Edison, our members, and we had 31 projects in 11 western states of all types, you know, because they were more economical than continuing to buy it on the market.
The last question is, I realize it depends completely on how many cities jump into this, but what's your estimate for like employees for the JPA, or do you have some idea what that'll look like?
Well, yeah, in our business plan, I think we show at ultimate, I think the estimate was like 20 or 30 members. It wasn't all 80. We're not dreaming, not all 80 are going to come in. And I think the staffing level was less than 20. It was like 15 people or something. We have that. I can get that for you for sure. But the agency that I was in, we had a $750 million budget, and I had 12 employees. So it's not management heavy.
Mayor Pro Tem Spence.
Yeah, first, I guess for the city manager, my understanding is this is coming back at our next agenda. Is that right?
Correct. The intent was just to give an overview of the program with the idea that over the next couple of months we'll look at this program, because there are benefits for both the residents and the city in this program, but there's also some concerns that city managers and other cities have proposed as far as the opt-out after you join the JPA and some of those liabilities and other issues. So I think as that is identified and addressed, we'll be in a better position to make a better decision if we wish to join the JPA in the future. I think the intent would be is to bring this back as an agenda item, either at your next meeting here in June, or we could wait a little bit further, but at least get that information out to you and the rest of the public and start having that dialogue.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, you mentioned, you know, the 5% savings, but in reality, nothing's been bought yet. I mean, you haven't bid for services, you haven't bought energy, you haven't bought all that kind of stuff. And so you really don't know. That's sort of what you're hoping it would be.
Well,
right?
that's based on experience of JPAs, some of whom have existed for a couple of years now.
Yeah, well, some of them have had problems though too. I mean, up north, there's been some where they've entered into long-range contracts and they're stuck with them. Lancaster lost money by buying long-term contracts already. And so, I mean, and I'm kind of confused by that because suddenly we're going to have a JPA governed by a bunch of council members. No offense to council members. That based on our planning, you're going to go out in the market and buy stuff for people that might not use it. And I guess I don't understand how the planning, how us setting some kind of plan fits into a business model on how you're going to get the energy.
Well, the intent is we will have a contract with an entity. In fact, we're going out with RFPs in the next couple of weeks. Right. That we won't have that staff to do that because that's very sophisticated. It'd be the same kind of folks that Edison uses to do it today. Quite frankly, we'll match that expertise. And they have modeling, they have energy use data, which we're getting from Edison, so we'll have historical data. We'll have data on every single customer. We're getting that right now, as a matter of fact, so that we take all of those things, you put them into the models, and you determine, it changes every hour, every day, so it's kind of a sophisticated arrangement, and it is not the intent of the JPA to have that staff on board. That's just too expensive to do, to try to duplicate that talent, but we will do an RFP to hire a firm that has that expertise, and there are firms now that are doing it for other JPAs.
Oh, I have no doubt about that.
Yeah.
I have no doubt there's people willing to bid on all kinds of stuff. But I guess I'm just trying to figure out how, it's going to work when you talk about economies of scale. Investor-owned utilities have quite a larger, scale that they can buy from. And I think, you mentioned there's risks involved. The whole startup thing is an issue. A bunch of CalPERS employees that, are going to be working there.
We don't know that.
Yeah, well, okay, well, we'll find out. And then this whole opt-out thing, it talks a lot about choice, but the first thing we do is we force people into the program, and I kind of have a problem with that. So there's this issuing bonds, for projects. Who's going to end up on the hook for that? How do we get out of this arrangement if we don't like it after a while? There are all kinds of issues there that I see as problems, and the biggest problem is, and I think this is the problem Edison has, is the state legislature. They decided they know what's best for the energy business, and so they mandate all kinds of stuff and make it harder for them to provide energy. And then, the rates go up and people complain. And, it seems like, I don't see how this actually long-term can be competitive with that kind of environment.
Okay, fair enough.
I've got a few questions for you, Bill. So if later on, let's say a year or 2 years later, a city wants to opt out, is there an opt-out, and what's the cost?
Of course there's an opt-out. There may be a fee associated with that, and then basically the theory is if you opt out, you can't leave your partners stranded. You may be on the other side of the table with somebody else going out, and you wouldn't want them transferring your costs to them. And so the theory is that it would be a quantification of whatever commitments the JPA has made on your behalf that you voted for, you'd have to keep everybody whole in getting out.
Okay.
Which would be true, I think, in any JPA, quite frankly. And it wouldn't be the gross amount, by the way, if because you could sell it on the market, or the JPA could sell it, so that you're not talking about the gross amount, it would be some amount. Yeah.
So you mentioned that the billing is still Edison, and Edison is still the transmission company. So when you get your bill, will it show the bill from the JPA and the bill from Edison for the transmission?
It'll be the same bill with one additional line item that has the JPA cost in it.
Okay.
As the energy cost.
Right, so your energy cost won't show up as Edison's, it'll show up.
It just has one more line item in it.
Right. And my understanding is if a resident can opt in, but if a resident wants to opt out after a certain point, there's going to be a cost to that.
No.
But
individual customers.
Individual customer.
Yeah, no.
But to go back to Edison, they can't keep going back and forth, is my understanding. There's a cost.
Well, a part of what the JPA will pay Edison are the stranded costs when that customer got out.
Right, but let's say.
So if they get back in, they just pay the same amount for being back in because they're keeping Edison whole to start with. Does that make sense?
That's not the way I read that later on.
There is an exit fee for those customers leaving Edison, and that's computed in these numbers.
Right. So so if they wanted to switch a few times, they're going to keep paying an exit fee to Edison.
Well, the exit fee is actually paid monthly. It's not a lump sum, but it's paid. If the way they explain it to us is that the exit fee will be paid, or the fee that you're paying is the energy cost part of their portfolio that gets idled, okay? But the way they're going to handle that is that all customers will pay the same fee for the energy portion of their bill. So if you opt out, you take that cost with you over to the JPA. So that doesn't change. It's the same amount of money. Everybody pays the same, whether you're a bundled customer of Edison or someone leaving Edison.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go back, you just pick up, that price just goes back with you.
So if somebody wanted to change every other month, they could?
No, I don't think the JPA is going to allow customers to do it that frequently. It may be, every once a year or twice a year. I mean, you could set those rules. And We haven't proposed to do that because we think the board, when they get seated, the JPA should make that decision.
So this program's relatively new in California, but it's been around in other states for years since they broke up the transmission from the energy production.
It has.
How many of these have failed? What percent in the U.S.?
You know, I don't know of any that have, but I'll be happy to find out for you and get back to you.
I would like to find that out.
Okay.
Yes, semi. Because one's regulated, one's non-regulated. The buying and selling, deregulated. So
That's a good question. I'm sorry I don't have the answer off the top of my head, but I'll find out.
So, City of West Covina for lighting, you know, we pay Edison for with some of our lights. We pay for the power and for the maintenance of it. It's all built together. What happens to that if we opt into the JPA?
Well, unless the JPA makes an arrangement with Edison to take over a portion of that and the revenues for that, nothing happens. They keep it until there's a change with the JPA. That's not being proposed up front, only the energy portion. And I indicated what we're doing is working with them on the public goods charge and say, look, you know, the locals should be able to control that. We don't have that right yet.
Right, you know? but the energy portion is built in, so on that contract with our lights, so are we going to still pay Edison the same rate and buy the energy from them?
Well, you don't own the street lights, right?
Some we do, some we don't. But I'm talking about the ones we don't.
For the ones you do, you can bring those into the JPA.
No problem. But the rest, which is most of West Covina is owned by Edison.
Right.
And so we're paying a fee which includes the power and the maintenance. So we can't switch those over?
Well, they own those facilities, and so I guess if you brought it over, you'd be paying the same amount anyway. I mean, the rate wouldn't change, the rate on the street lights, because they own the street lights. So part of that is paying for the capital investment.
Right. But we'd have to pay Edison for doing that. We'd have to buy them from them. That's what Edison would require. To move it over.
I think that's right.
And part of it's the power.
I quite frankly don't think you'd want to do that. I was thinking more in terms of when it comes to changing out. You know, the street lighting goes from various stages.
What I'm concerned is who am I buying that power for those lights since it's built into the contract? And that's a major portion to the city.
They're in the city and they're metered in the city, so I guess they would come over as well. I'll have to check on that. I haven't had that question asked either. So.
And those things we can look into as we progress in the process.
Right. Well, and these are things though that we need to. And the other question is so we talked about residents. What about commercial? You know, some people use a lot of energy and they've got good rates. The city has a very good rate because the amount of power that we buy. Would that be the same automatic with?
Yes,
or lower?
Commercial, industrial, and residential all come over as a part of the creation, and they can opt out and go and stay with Edison.
Okay, and so what have you found in the other California JPAs that you've worked with? Are the big commercials staying with Edison, or are they opting out?
No, I think it's overall it's in the 90s because they're saving money, and if they can save money, they probably are more cost sensitive than most residential customers.
Okay, and then so part of our bill to Edison is to pay for San Onofre. Does that stay in there because it's part of the transmission, even though that it was making the power?
It was a part of their resource mix, so you were paying for it as a part of the, when it was generating energy, you were paying for the energy. Now, I think the retirement fee I'm not that familiar with the settlement that Edison made with the PUC when they mothballed it. There are ongoing costs, we know that. And I don't know exactly, that may be actually a separate line. I know some of their other
That's a separate line item. I'm wondering, would that get carried over into the JPA's bill?
Yeah, that would still be an obligation of the customers coming over because it's an obligation now, and you can't leave those costs with the remaining customers. But it wouldn't be any different than what you're paying now. But you know, you can't leave those costs behind.
Right.
You know, so yeah, you'd have to pay that.
Okay. And then my last question is, what happens to customers like myself? I'm on Edison, but I have solar, and so I'm producing and it's going back to Edison. How would that work for me under the JPA?
Well, it should work the same. The JPA should establish rules and regulations for the distributed energy resources. The same, there's no reason that the JPA cannot mirror what Edison offers. We've talked to them about customers who have levelized billing plans, for example, or businesses that want bundle bills. I mean, they have a number of places, but they want to get one bill.
But I'm producing power, so would you buy it at the same rate Edison is, or a higher rate, or a lower rate, or?
The purchase part, I assume we'd be required to honor that contract and pay the same, so you wouldn't take a hit.
Okay. Thank you very much. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, I just have one more.
Yeah.
Edison's regulated by the PUC?
Yes.
And so is this going to be regulated by the PUC? No. Okay, so.
Edison is half rated. The power is not regulated by Edison. It's only the transmission.
Yeah, but in theory, the PUC is supposed to be watching out for people as far as the investor-owned utilities. So I guess who's watching out for? I mean, because JPAs this big are unaccountable. Because even if you have something going on in West Covina, you know, you got a bunch of other council people from all over the place that can outvote them, and you can't get at them. You can't get them during an election. You know, you can't get them at all. And you know, I've seen that. You know, sandbags like that in San Bernardino County, they're the power of eminent domain. You know, and you can't. If someone's mad about it in the city, it doesn't matter because they got people from all over the place voting on it. So I'm trying to figure out if you don't have PUC, who's going to. I need to know who's going to be doing that stuff too.
The success of the full municipal systems, they're all regulated. Their regulatory authorities are city councils, and that's Glendale, Pasadena, Burbank, Anaheim, Riverside, LADWP, Banning, Colton. Yeah. Then they've all been successful.
Holding up the LADWP as a standard, you know, it doesn't help your case to me. But anyways.
Well, they're a fact.
So,
they're a fact of life.
I'm just saying.
But I'm just saying that.
That's a nonprofit that, you know, does quite well. So.
Well, but other cities that I mentioned are more the size, you know, when I was managing the entity, when we did most of our studies and whatnot, we didn't use them because they're in a league by themselves.
Right,
so.
well, it's usually a function of history. I mean, you know, early on, if utilities were developed as part of the municipal function, you know, and kept, you know, then those long-term costs were already paid for. But, you know, universities is a little more difficult.
And that's the reason that the JPA would need to hire competent staff. You need to have staff, and they need to make sure you, just like your city manager, make sure you don't get in trouble, make sure you do the right kind of planning and risk mitigation and that kind of stuff.
Well, and I think all of those cities do both the transmission and the power.
Yes.
So this would just be for the power itself. Are there any other questions?
Okay. Well,
Bill, thank you very much.
Happy to come back if you need, and we'll be in touch. Okay. Thank you.
We'll now move forward with the oral communications. Anyone wishing to speak is asked to complete a yellow speaker card, which is located at the main entrance to the council chambers, and then submit them to our assistant city clerk. When you step up to the podium, please speak directly into the mic and state your name and city of residence. You will have 5 minutes to address the council. Tonight's first speaker is Lola Finley.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, residents, staff. I'm here for two agenda items. One, agenda item 12, Shadow Oak Park. All you council members received an email from me. I'm hoping that we don't postpone it. I know one of the options possibly is to put on hold. My recommendation is let's save the money. I know we have problems, and I realize what the bid is on the bathroom. The problem is we've been asking for this bathroom, well, the park in general, the lower area, for years, and the bathroom for years. And every time you guys say we're going to get it, in fact, when you guys were first elected, all of you guys, it was put on the agenda, and we were promised that we were going to get the bathroom. And then it always seems to get pushed back. This time, I'm hoping that just set the money aside, and then when we get the other half of the money, then we can complete it. We can spend the money on the playground. We can spend it on other parts of Shadow Oak Park. But the playground's there. The funds will come. It's not going to be as expensive as bathroom. So let's hold the money, and when we get the rest of the funds, let's go ahead and put the bathroom. It's long overdue. We have a huge senior population at that area. And, you know, I literally personally drive home because the bathroom is so far. It's easier for me to go home because I know my bathroom will not be locked. When I get to over there, I don't know if it's going to be locked. And then I'm going, oh, great, now I got to walk back to my car. And so I just hope that we set the money aside and don't do any other repairs there, that are any ideas that you have. This park hasn't, we're so dilapidated. Our kitchen isn't working. I know little work has been done there, but that was all long overdue, and it hasn't, until this new council came on, we really didn't have any repairs. You guys, thanks to you guys, we have been getting these repairs. So I hope you guys set the money that we have for the park aside, and then when we get the second half, we complete it. Because what's going to happen, if we spend the money on some other part of the park, right now, let's say it's $500,000. In 2 years, it's going to be $700,000. Now we're going to be short $200,000. If we set the money aside and it is $500,000, $700,000, well, now we have to only come up with $500,000. So that's what I'm hoping you guys will do. And you guys know at the general plan, many residents spoke about it. Many residents have came up and asked, and I hope you received emails from the resident. So I'm hoping you guys will take my opinion into consideration. On agenda item 19, just want to get some clarification. It sounds like we're giving up. I know people come up and speak about consultants and hiring in them, but it sounds like we're giving up some rights if we, I agree with Corey, and I'm not really quite sure if that's the case, but it sounds like it to me, so just if we can get some clarification, and if I'm right, then I'm with Mayor Corey Warshaw. I think we should oppose it. I haven't been to the meeting, so I hadn't had an opportunity to speak about the hiring of a new chief. Just want to make sure that when we're looking for our new chief, whether it's in-house or out-house, we need to bring someone with the same mindset that Chief Faulkner has. Someone who's creative, someone who has great ideas, someone who has experience on bringing money, funding to our city. He was very creative. A lot of the things that we have currently, we did not have in previous chief of police. This is a first time. I'm very proud in a long time, and not our interim, not including our interim, but this is the first time in a long time that I can really proud of our chief of police. So I hope when you're looking for that person, not only he meets that he's a creative person, that he thinks of different ways to bring funding to our city, because it seems like we're going to be in this financial situation for a while. So also, speaking on that, I want to remind you guys that we're having our neighborhood watch meeting on June 3rd, and I will get you the time where it's open. I think we're going to have it half an hour later. And then want to remind you guys about National Night Out on Tuesday, August 1st. And I noticed that you guys had the meeting with Sakapoli tonight, so I wanted to bring that up. Wanted to know how you guys came to the decision, how and why to extend the ENA. And my concern is that we keep on postponing it, and they have a lot of money vested, and all of a sudden we hear, as we heard before, not from you guys, but other councils, that they've spent so much money, we have to give them the project. So I just want to let you guys know when at what point will we be involved as residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Ed Valenzuela.
Good evening. My name is Ed Valenzuela. I live here in West Covina, and I'm here as a concerned citizen about some things that are happening in the community. Number one is the excessive speeding that's going on throughout the city. There's tons of racing going on as Zeus Avenue, Cameron, Grand, Vine, and it's ridiculous. It goes on all night long during the day. I've called in on it many, many times, and it's just a matter of time before we have some really crazy accident where many people are killed. It's just ongoing all the time. Also, something that bothers me greatly is the fireworks on 4th of July. I've lived here 30 years and I've never seen it like this. The last 3 years, it's like a war zone. I've called in on that, and one of the times that it was very bad, they said that all the officers were at one of the fireworks shows and nobody could respond. And there was people, I live behind Vine Elementary School, and there was people on top of the roof shooting bottle rockets into the homes, and some were going into my home. And I strongly believe it wasn't for me, there would have been some major fire going on over there. There was people shooting bottle rockets up and down the street. Some of them were police officers, which I went to their door, knocked on them, said, "What are you doing? You know, just a matter of time before you start a big fire." I'm also concerned about the 31% increase in burglaries in our city. I'd like to know, what's going on about that. That's ridiculous. That's really, really bad. This lady that just spoke right now talked about ways to make money for the city. Why not send 3 unmarked cars on 4th of July to the south of the city, the middle of the city, the north of the city, the police officer and a volunteer. The volunteer could be filming these fools that are with the fireworks, and fine them heavily, like $5,000 fine. You'd make a lot of money, because I think I live in a nice area of the city, and 4th of July is ridiculous. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our next speaker is John Shoemaker.
Good evening, everyone. I was a little disappointed when I picked up the agenda. I thought there was going to be a line item changing our city motto to "We do less with more," especially after looking at the last budget. I was kind of surprised that when I saw one of the line items, a comment that was made that in 2005 and 6 we had 85 more employees than we do today. So I just kind of looked at it and said, well, what was the budget back then? It was $48 million. First proposal was for $66 million. So we have 20% less people, so which means we have less services, less everything, and it cost us a third more to get it. I don't understand that. And if you really take it and say, well, if those 85 employees were gone in 2005 and 6, if they were making $50,000 a year with salary and benefits, that's a $4 million savings plus. So the budget was $44 million, and the initial request was $66 million. That's a 50% increase when inflation has been 20. The other thing I don't quite understand is, how did we not know about this a year ago or 2 years ago? I could understand if we had had an economic meltdown that we were expecting to get a certain amount of money and all of a sudden that disappeared. But when you look at last year's budget, it said we were going to get about $60 million and we were going to spend basically the $60 million. This year it's going to cost us $66 million. Why? Where'd that come from? And nobody knew about it? Nobody knew about it? It means that somebody should have been keeping track of it, either did not keep track of it, which means that person should be gone, and you guys should have been kind of asking questions too. Kind of disappointed in that when things were coming up here, nobody was going, I never saw anybody ask, can we afford this? All the changes going on. All the changes going on. And then, I don't know, I was told by one member of the public that the cleanup of an accident over on the south side got charged to the maintenance district. You know, and that struck me as kind of odd. I hope that's not the case. But, you know, it seemed like, why would the cleanup of the streets be charged to the maintenance district? Maybe it was just an error in coding, or the person who looked at the account number didn't realize what it really stood for. But what is going on, folks? You know, the decision process is what is puzzling me. You know, you weigh things and say, what's important? To me, a city basically is police, fire, parks, you know, activities for the residents, streets, sewers, water, light. If you can't do that, why have a city? Why, you know, why have a city? And the decisions that are made. Let's see. Go to Japan or charge kids $150,000 to use the parks. Spend $26,000 to find a new police chief. You're going to tell me that all you guys and him don't have contacts somewhere? Hey, you know what the headhunters are doing? Calling around to their contacts going, who do you think might be good? You mean you can't call the State Police Officer Association and go, hey, do you guys know anybody who might want to be a police chief? I mean, there's ways of doing these things. But the thing I notice is, you know, consultants for roads. You mean somebody can't drive around and go, yeah, that road needs to be fixed, that road needs to be fixed. Oh, that one's okay, it can wait a while. You know, I just don't get it. The one thing I do notice is that there's always money in the budget for staff not to have to do something, but there's never money in the budget for police and fire and things like that. You know, set the priorities, folks. You know, if we don't have money for fire units, we don't have money for in and out. Just the optics of it, if nothing else. But, you know, like a lot of people will say, they don't care. They won an election, they're the smart kids in the room. Well, when you're cutting police, you're cutting fire, you're cutting services. I don't know how smart you really are, especially when there's other people, other organizations in the city that seem to be doing okay. Used to be part of one of those. So, bring some of that over here.
Our next speaker is Bobby Griffith.
Hi. Good evening, Mayor, City Council, and member of the audience. My name is Bobby Griffith, and I'm the Marketing Director for West Covina Medical Center. I'm here tonight because I'm very proud to announce that on Wednesday, June 21st, the hospital is going to be hosting American Red Cross Blood Drive. As most people know, blood donations are at an all-time low. I saw all these students in the audience earlier. What if they got in a car accident or had a disease? What if there wasn't blood for them? So we need to all get together and donate blood. All blood donors will receive a free lunch, a mini first aid kit, and we'll have multiple door prizes like restaurant gift cards, Starbucks gift cards. We really need people out there. To make an appointment, you can call Debbie Ortiz at 626-502-1985. That's once again Debbie Ortiz, 626-502-1985. Our hospital is located right across the street from Kmart, so at 725 South Orange Avenue. I also have flyers regarding the blood drive here with me tonight. You can see I'm passionate about this. We really need people to donate blood. Be a hero, donate blood. So thank you so much and have a great evening.
Bobby, before you leave, do they have to make an appointment or can they just walk in?
They can make an appointment. They can call. Thank you for asking. They can visit redcrossblood.org and use sponsor code WEST COV Med or call. So I'd like to pass out these flyers on my way out, but thank you so much. Like I said, the Red Cross is at an all-time low for blood. It takes about an hour. You can pre-register. Thanks for bringing that up, but I'm hoping that council and the schools will help promote this very important event.
And do you know what the hours are from?
The hours are from 11 to 5. Did she pass these out to you guys?
No.
Oh, can I pass?
Sure, just give them to the city clerk.
I gave them to her, so I'm sorry.
Oh.
So 11 to 5, but if we have more people, I'm hoping we have more people sign up, we will extend those hours. This is very important to me. I'm very passionate about it. So thank you so much for your time. Yes?
I just want to say, Bobby, thank you. I just donated double red sales last Saturday.
Great.
At
Well,
the Masonic
thank you.
Lodge,
Thank you so
I've already
much.
done it, so
Yeah.
they didn't give me last time. If I'd have known, I'd have waited and got the free lunch.
And also, that's a good point. You have to be, you can be 17 years or older to donate. If you're 16, you can get a special slip. You have to weigh at least 110 pounds, but it's a very fast process and it will save lives. Please, please donate blood. Real quick, how many people in this audience have donated blood? How many of you are going to come see me on June 21st and donate more blood? Please. It's a very important cause. Thank you again. Okay. Okay. I'm not going to get in trouble if I pass these out.
Our next speaker will be Robert Ring.
Good evening. My name is Robert Ring. I'm an attorney for Jan's Towing. I'm from Los Angeles, DWP country. I'm here because the tow contract was awarded without notice to us as promised. Only 2 of the 5 tow companies showed up. The RFP that went out to these companies, it said the selection process should be in February, and then more specifically said, if you want to know what's going on, speak to Captain Bell, and we did. There were messages to him, and we got a phone call from Captain Bell April 19th, the day after the award, saying, I really apologize, I was out of town. We accept that apology, but we want a chance to bid on this contract. It's just fundamentally fair. No contracts has been issued yet, and even when they came and inspected Jan's Towing, they said, oh yeah, we'll let you guys know. We'll let you know what the recommendations are, what's going on. That was our contact. On April 18th, the recommendation by the city manager's office was for Jan's Towing. Our real core question is, what happened? We didn't have a chance to explain ourselves to this council. And when you look at what they found when they inspected the company, I mean, it was 99.25%. I mean, none of us ever got a grade like that. They were the top potential revenue generator for the city. And I just want to read a couple things that the city said. And then our question is, we want to meet this. We want to know what the concerns were and why we didn't get the award. But we didn't get a chance to even talk to you folks. That's the problem. That's what's fundamentally unfair. That's why you need to reset this and get notice to all 5 companies. We're confident we'll get it, but that's fundamental fairness. You had said that Jan's Towing possess the most high-end and specialty towing vehicles out of all the towing companies. They've been in business over 30 years. They're a supporter of items in the community, et cetera. It's the kind of stuff you'd expect from a company that gets 99.25%. The award goes to Royal Coaches, which your report says was the 3rd highest with respect to revenue. And revenue is a pretty sensitive subject for the city. But I read the conclusion of what your department said, and that was, conclusion, Jan's is being recommended based on the quality of their storage facility with regard to security, amenities, state-of-the-art vehicles, including specialty equipment, and the highest bid of guaranteed revenue to West Covina. What did you find differently? We want a chance to speak to you about that. That's only fair. That's in the interest of the city of West Covina, and it's in the interest of fundamental fairness, especially when we're told, speak to this captain, he'll tell you when it is, and he reluctantly and honestly apologized. It just happened. I think what's appropriate, especially since when I checked with your city attorney that no contract has been issued, is that you put the current award in abeyance, revisit this issue, get notice through the captain or some other way to all 5 companies and say, guys, here's your notice, show up, and then we'll decide. I have confidence in Jan's Towing, but fundamental fairness says you don't do it the way you did. And I think it's also not just fundamental fairness, it's more in the interest of your city to get a company that will bring you the most revenue and a really, really stellar reputation. I've represented tow companies since the mid-90s, and I've represented many. And I could tell you Jan's Towing deserved the 99.25%. So I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Jan Quackenbush.
Jan Quackenbush, Azusa, California. Good evening, council, mayor, staff. A gentleman a few minutes ago struck a nerve up here when he mentioned one thing. I won't be long-winded about this at all, but he mentioned cities cutting services. We tow for a lot of cities in the San Gabriel Valley here, in the state, the county, and I think we provide one of the best companies, and we've been in business almost 40 years. In saying that, the gentleman mentioned cutting services. What you've done to this community is taken 50 trucks approximately out of this community that would have been in Area 2, okay? 50 of the most top-notch, state-of-the-art. Some of the trucks are $750,000, okay, for disaster relief, whatever. Unbelievable capabilities. And that kind of really hurts right there, because I know how much the community, the people here, the city, the police department, everybody needs these services, needs these vehicles, needs this quality of staffing, which we have, you know, in these kind of needs. When there's terrible accidents, different things, our company can go very deep as far as responses. You know, it's nothing for us. Today we had 4 for the city of Covina at one time, 3 CHP at one time. Same time, we got plenty of trucks. We've got a lot of staff. And by having one company in this large of a community, smaller communities, fine. One company, that's fine. That's a large community. And that's why you've got it broken up into 2 areas. You've got that for a reason, to have 2 companies, not just to have one company running 2 areas. You've shortchanged this community by 50 trucks and a lot of staff. And your staff that came out, your panel, your interview panel, was incredible. I want to commend each and every one of them. They took their time, very good questions, and I don't know any of them personally. I don't know any of you personally. I've never met you. I have nothing out there to grind. I haven't towed your cars. I haven't done any of that. Maybe that needs to be looked at. I mean, you know what I'm saying, at car shows and all that kind of stuff. The freebie stuff that everybody wants, you know, that I don't do. I still charge you a minimal fee, but I still charge, okay? So, but I do want to commend the staff, the interview panel. And I think it was a 2-way street. We educated each other a little bit because there was some discrepancies in your proposal about pricing. And I think if we discussed that with Captain Bell about that, he saw it, caught it with us, with my secretary, Susan Duncan. And I thought they were actually going to put out a new proposal because the other one had some issues with the pricing. And then also, when I didn't hear from anybody up and through February, I figured, well, you know, doing a new process, somewhere along the line, somebody is going to contact me, because every other city, whoever, we get contacted. I just didn't think they would have a meeting and not the tow officer or somebody wouldn't call and say there's something on the agenda. You know, you might want to be there, or the city clerk or whoever you're dealing with at that particular moment. But anyhow, I sure would like to have a second look at this and be able to provide all this equipment for the secondary area in West Covina and do a top-notch job. And yeah, our money we were going to pay was a lot more, not just a little bit more, a lot more. And I know the city needs money. Every city needs money. We all need money. And I was there to try to provide that. And I would just like a second chance if at all possible. Thank you very much. Have a nice evening.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Dwayne Hilberg.
Hi, my name is Dwayne Hilbert from West Covina. I'm a little bit concerned also about towing. I was sitting here watching you guys on TV and watched the two companies come before you guys. And Royal Coach came up and said that they can do things better than other people, but now I heard about this because Jan is a customer of mine. I go out and take care of his voice and data. And for the city not to take the revenue that he would supply for us, when I hear other people talking about the cuts in services and that, I'm thinking about the customers that they would service. They get in an accident, they go out there and report there fast, convenient, so these people don't have to worry about that. So if they're going to sit there and make this vote, I understand that I was kind of watching her, she said they haven't signed the contract yet. I would like to see a second time because, you know, I took my time to sit there and watch that because I'm concerned about my city. I live here. I do take the roads a lot. I know what the construction on the side of the freeway, a lot more people are getting off there trying to get home quickly. And if there's an accident there and someone who doesn't respond quickly, then I'm stuck in that traffic too, along with the rest of the citizens there. So if you could take it in consideration of actually doing a proposal again, letting all the companies come, like the attorney was talking about, so that we can get something done right here. I do appreciate that. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Frank Williams.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, staff, fellow residents of West Covina. Frank Williams, West Covina resident for more than 25 plus years. And I'm here as a volunteer, proud father of 5 and proud resident of West Covina. Been a volunteer for probably about closer to 20 years, probably 18 plus in the city at Cortez Park and various other parks. Also part of the Youth Sports Council, part of the West Covina Bruins football and cheer. Most of these programs that I volunteer with have kids ages from 6 to 14, and we've utilized the parks. And the reason why I'm coming today, as I mentioned at our budget meeting, is it brought up the cost of looking for raising revenue of this dollar amount of approximately $150,000. And I started kind of breaking down the numbers and trying to figure out how it would affect the different cities, or excuse me, the different leagues. And I just started thinking about, you know, because there was a number that the city manager brought up. It was a light charge of about $20 an hour. And I don't know if that was a real number or just a number that he was just casually thinking. But I just started trying to break down that if a youth program operated for 6 months and they had an average of 20 hours worth of usage, and to try to obtain that $150,000 in revenue, that means we would have to be charged $333 an hour to be able to obtain that $150,000 number that you're trying to get to. So what that means is that the youth programs that are the majority of the ones in the Youth Council are operated by volunteers and all have done and contributed many hours of service at our parks and of course on the equipment and done capital improvements to our city. And also because we're residents of the city and because we utilize the parks, that $333 or whatever those numbers are going to come up to, we really feel that that's going to add an added cost to the nonprofits in order for them to operate, which is going to get passed on to the residents that are using the park. I want to bring up a couple things in my time very quickly that the cities that around the area that are, you know, dealing with blight and dealing with other issues don't have very good parks. And if you look at our parks, we're very proud that our parks are very functional. They're run. And a lot of them are run because of the amount of volunteer hours that are put into it. And we're very proud of that. The other thing is these residents that are using the parks are family members, their grandparents. The family is coming to these parks. They're using them for other things. They're renting the parks for other services. But they're actually staying in the city and spending money in the city in the restaurants. They're being buyers in the city. They're shopping West Covina, and what's happening is when we invite other cities to come to our park, like I'll give you an example, when we have La Cañada football come to our program here at Cortez Park, those cities are running a number of football programs throughout the stay, and those people are staying in our city and getting a chance to shop. So I think that there is an added impact, and I think there's some numbers that really need to be broken down because I really urge the city to find other revenue sources because I really believe that this would be a detriment to the volunteers and to the families of West Covina because, again, our city has been awarded the Playful City, And it's been awarded a lot of awards across the board just because of the fact that we have those nonprofit volunteers that are willing to contribute their time. And that, you can't put a price on that. If we had to have our community services department be employees and to be able to offer those programs, the city would not be able to afford that. And because we're proud of our city and because of the fact that we want to have solid programs for our youth, we're out there. And you can see what is being used at every little inch that's going on in the park. Take a walk. Wonderful. It's especially this Mother's Day weekend when you sit there and look at what's going on. I think it's really proud to see that thing, and I think we really need to look for other sources of income that will help and not penalize the people that are using the parks, especially with things. So I know it's still up for debate, but I would also like to recommend the technology. I brought that up. I really believe that if you can turn on the lights at my home and turn on the security, I'm absolutely certain that we can have a central source of technology that can control the lights. And us as a valued volunteer, we have no problem with our scheduling, and we're very well organized, and we know how to contribute with and put their practice schedules together to be able to do that. So I think that's something that we need to look into, and I think it's something that I would ask you as a city council to research because it needs to happen anyways. And there's also other LED lighting permits and stuff that are out there. But again, I think we need to use those technology at our advantage and keep our parks strong by keeping our volunteers in our parks. We don't want our programs to go away. Thank you so much for all your time, gentlemen. You have a good day.
Thank you. Our last speaker is Bruce Leinbach.
Good evening, City Council, City Manager, staff, and citizens of the city. I just wanted to remind people, I've been a member of West Covina Lions for the past 38 years. I think our organization was started in the city in 1960. And what we were having here in our city, our 47th annual Night in the Town. What this encompasses, number one. First of all, we have this at the Edwards Theater. You pay $25. You're given you get a free ticket. Plus, there's, like I say, there's 15 different restaurants who are lined up outside, and we have it cordoned off for the people. So it's a special event, and we probably have 500 or 600 people there. And 500 or 600 people, and so it's a great event for the city. It's like a town reunion. So I just wanted to remind everybody, it's going to be next Wednesday at the Edwards Theater, and the time is from 5 o'clock, 5:30 to 8, I believe. And then also we have a silent auction too. So this is our yearly event, fundraising event. Also, I want to touch on just recently, I had some great news. My one son, I just had a birthday, and I wasn't 65, I wasn't 70, and I wasn't 90, I wasn't 85 or 80, I was 75. So my one son comes, hey, I got a good birthday present for you. You're going to have another grandchild. So I remember many years ago, my kids were in their 30s, and I had no grandchildren. I said, you guys got to get to work. You got to get to work. And then before you know it, my first grandson was born 5 years ago. And since then, I had one next year, the year following that, and following that. So that means 3 grandchildren, 3 granddaughters, and 1 grandson have been born. At age 70, I had none. And then, like I say, my one son comes and says, hey, Dad, you got a birthday present. We're going to have another one. So I'm going to be up to 5. So I'm going to tell them, keep on plugging away. I could use a couple more. But grandkids are a great gift, and we ought to recognize all the grandparents in West Covina. And it's really changed my life. I mean, I had a birthday recently, like I said, and I had my one grandchild over, and heck, they're fun to play with. That's what life is about. Also, I see that our budget is making a downturn as far as we got less than what we need to keep a balanced budget. I don't know how we're going to do it. We're going to either have to spend less or raise taxes, unfortunately. Of course, raising taxes, nobody's for that. Recently, and over the past year, we get this special funding from Charter. And Charter, every year, out of the money they give us, a certain portion goes in this budget in the city council for communications, like upgrading the audio and the video and everything like that. And I think the balance is around $300,000. But the thing concerns me, I put a lot of time on this, but I haven't had that much discussion on this. I don't know what's the status, what's coming along, because I've been saying, oh, it's going to be done, going to be done. And I haven't seen any council or that much activity like it's passed. Nothing's happened. We got $300,000 money. Now, let's get fun something. This $300,000 money came from Charter. It's only used for communications and improvements and things like that. And that's the only thing. But where is it? Why aren't we spending it? Or what's the prognosis? Because I thought we should have the best facility of any place around with all this money. And I don't know what's happening. I think we need an upstate on the status, and I just hope it's going to be done in the near future, that we upgrade it with all that $300,000 or whatever, because I don't know what's happening. I think we've almost basically turned us back and not really just sitting there. Nobody needs it. Nobody seems to care about it. We got about $300,000 there sitting there. And we, the city council, can spend it for the best use for the West Covina as far as improving our communications in the city, as far as the TV and the council meetings. So all I got to say, I hope we can get it spent soon.
And Bruce, where can they buy tickets for Night on the Town?
I got them right here.
Thank you much.
Okay, I got the tickets. Anybody wants tickets? I got a flyer and everybody like that. So I'm going to walk around. I'm going to have flyers. Anybody raise their hand, and I'll give them a flyer. Okay?
Thank you, Bruce. With that, we're going to take a 5-minute break. That was it. I'm going to call this meeting back to order. Mr. City Manager, do you have any additional comments to add to any issues raised at tonight's public comment?
I do real quick. Regarding the new police chief recruitment, Bob Murray and Associates has prepared a summary of which is now available on our city's website, and that summary includes the meetings that were held with the community last month, as well as a summary of the online survey. So if the public wants to see some of those results, they're welcome to visit the city's website and get more of that information. Regarding the 4th of July enforcement, I know the police chief just walked back upstairs. I know that we've recently amended the city's ordinance regarding the 4th of July and fining of folks who are lighting off fireworks. I know Mr. Valenzuela has left, but there will be police enforcement out there on 4th of July trying to do what they can to help minimize the illegal fireworks in our community. Regarding Mr. Shoemaker and the budget issues, I encourage him and other residents to show up to the budget meeting tomorrow night here in the council chambers at 6:30. As we've shared with the city council, this is not a surprise, the deficit that we're faced with and the reductions that we have been making. And we'll be more than happy to share that once again with the public tomorrow. With regards to Jan's towing, I'll turn that over to the city attorney real quick.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I don't recall, because I don't have the RFP in front of me, but I don't believe that there was any assurance that all of the proposers would be notified. However, you do have the discretion, if you wish, to re-agendize and reconsider the matter and give direction to staff to notify all of the proposers. It's entirely the council's discretion.
And the last item,
Can I ask a question on that?
Certainly. Sure.
Wouldn't it be useful to look at the RFP before, to see if stuff like that is in there?
I could certainly do that, and if it is in there, then we can agendize it for your next meeting and discuss it further.
And the last time I asked Mr. Leinbach to stick around, because each time he asked this question, he has left the city council chambers, and I was asking about the I gotta go home and eat. Okay, yes. So he's been asking about the upgrades. Ms. Minnick has been working with the folks at Mount SAC. The intent is, as many of you may or may not know, the video feed from City Hall goes to Mount SAC, and then from Mount SAC to Charter. And that was something that was established probably 30 years ago or longer, because Mount SAC used to provide the cable access here for the city of West Covina. So one of the projects we are working on is to get that signal and eliminate Mount SAC as the middle person and have it go from West Covina to Charter directly. So that's one of the projects, as well as upgrades throughout the council chambers for the audio and the video, because we do hear complaints from residents and folks here in the audience. Sometimes they aren't able to hear in certain sections of the council chambers. So we're going to make sure we make those improvements. But then also we're looking to upgrade the SIRE system, which is the agenda preparation software. So all of that will be part of a project we hope to accomplish here, I would say probably within the next year. That whole project should be completed.
Next year?
Yeah, between this year and next year, because you're going to have a variety of projects, everything from the Mount SAC portion to the upgrades in this building to the new software system. So to get all that done, we're looking at about 365 days for everything to be completed. But there are hopefully will be certain segments of that we can get done sooner. One of the things, if you haven't noticed, for example, is there's no drapes in here anymore. That was really for protection of us for fire hazard, but it also has been providing a little bit better acoustics in here too. So little changes like that you'll see us trying to make improvements. All right, that's it, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. With that, if there are no other questions from council, we'll move to the consent calendar. Councilman Johnson has asked for items 9 and 12 to be pulled. Councilman Wu has asked for 4, 5, 13, and 16 to be pulled. And Mayor Pro Tem Spence has asked for item 14 to be pulled. Were there any other items? If not, what was that? Yeah. 3, 4, 5.
Mr. Mayor, can you repeat all of them once again?
Yeah. 9 and 12, 3, 4, 5, 13, 16, and 14. Yeah.
Well, that's not a consent, is it?
Was 16 a consent?
What was 16 on consent?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, if there are no other items, I'll move to approve items 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, and 15. Do I have a second?
Second?
It's been moved by myself and seconded by Councilman Wu to approve those items on the consent calendar. Madam Assistant City Clerk, may I have a roll call, please?
Johnson.
Aye.
Spence.
Aye.
Toma.
Aye.
Wu.
Aye.
Warshaw.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. We'll now move to item number 3. Councilman Wu.
That was me.
Oh, excuse me, Councilman Spence.
Yeah. Is the city treasurer here? Because I had some questions about our investment policy. I guess not. Well, the one question I had is something that I've noticed, and I didn't see anything in the write-up but we use a lot of foreign banks to put some of our monies as far as CD, Bank of Nova Scotia, Bank of Tokyo, that kind of stuff. And is there a reason why we use foreign banks and not U.S.-based banks?
And our finance director will answer that for you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and
The
council
short
members.
timer.
It's an allowable investment per our policy and government code, and we've Chandler Asset Management handles the day-to-day investing, so it might just be that those are where the best returns are at this time. So,
I mean, are we assured that those are the best returns of the time, or is it like, because if all things are equal, I'd prefer to use a U.S.-based bank.
it's definitely something we can communicate with them at our next.
West Covina Bank, yeah.
I can shoot them an email tomorrow to get some answers on that, but
Okay.
it's also something we can discuss with them at our next quarterly meeting. So.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Are there any other questions on item 3? If not, do I have a motion to approve?
I'll move that we approve.
And I'll second it. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Johnson.
Aye.
Spence.
Aye.
Toma.
Aye.
Wu.
Aye.
Warshaw.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. We'll now move to item number 4. Councilman Wu.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, on the agenda number 4, my questions on this, I know, okay, the previous, the agency doesn't even pay us, okay, and we will replace with this, okay, new company to help us to collect, okay, the fee. So I want to understand, maybe you can explain not only to me and to the resident, okay, how much going to save, okay, or create for the revenue to the city, or how much this company will charge us.
It's presented in the staff where I have Chris present. It's not really generating new revenues to the city. It's collecting on revenues that are already entitled to the city. But I'll let Chris go into a little bit more detail.
Luckily, in the new fee schedule that we adopted a fee to pass the collection agency charge on to the customer. So in the past, the city has had to pay the 19 or 20%, like it's been netted out of the amount that we collect. But now going forward, or effective June 18th, that fee will be added on to what the collection agency attempts to collect from the person that didn't pay their bill originally.
So like a late charge.
In a sense, it's yes.
So meaning we don't have to pay the 20%, so we have 100% of fee.
Yes.
Back to the city.
Correct, if it's collected. And if not, there's no charge to us. But we also didn't recover the revenue.
So roughly how much the fee we can get this company don't pay us, and roughly how much annually we can get to our budget?
The company only collects money if they collect the fee, yeah. If they aren't able to recover the amount due, then they get no money.
So roughly how much do you have estimation for that?
We probably, because we stopped sending items to that old company, we probably have at least 160,000 sitting that needs to be turned over to a collection agency.
So annually?
Annually, it's not that much, probably less than 50,000. And it just depends. There could be a large item that it goes uncollectible, but there isn't that much that goes, that's collectible that we have to follow up on.
Got it. So it's more like a collection agency for the city to collect those fees they don't pay?
Yeah, for miscellaneous things, yeah.
Got it.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Are there any other questions?
Just two things.
Mayor Pro Tem Spence.
Yeah, just real quick. One thing is I was disappointed how long it took to find out about the problems with the old company. I mean, when you look at the time frame, you know, there needs to be more oversight, I guess, over this in the future.
I agree. You know, I started in April 2015, so it had already been some time, but it wasn't one of those things that I got to looking at and noticing, or it wasn't even that it was brought to my attention. It was someday I was fishing around and I happened to notice. So we started reaching out to the company in April of 2016.
Yeah.
With the turnover in staff, the people that probably managed that in the past were no longer here, and so just setting up new procedures and stuff.
Yeah, it should be part of the new procedures or some kind of standard procedure. And the second thing is, are we going to have them go after the old company? Is that what we're going to do? Try to get them? How does that work? How does that work? Okay.
Since we discovered that they were still making efforts to collect, even though they're no longer in good standing with the state, we have asked the police department to look into whether there might be criminal culpability there. Failing that, we will pursue the matter civilly.
Thank you. With that, are there any other questions on item number 4? Do I have a motion?
I move motion to approve, please.
I'll second it. Madam Assistant City Clerk, may I have a roll call, please?
Johnson.
Aye.
Spence. Toma.
Aye.
Wu.
Aye.
Porsche.
We'll now move on to item number 5. Councilman Wu.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On the number 5, the agenda regarding the bond, I think it's more like a council, right? Council service. Okay, okay, right now I don't see any charge. How much will it cost us for this service?
That is something that's determined on a scope-by-scope basis. So if we, you know, have to look at another refinance, do another agreement, we'd get a proposal and select one of the firms to go with to work on that. If we decide to do a refinancing in the future, we'd get proposals from all 3 and then pick which one. And if it's over the threshold of $30,000, we would bring it back to council for approval.
So roughly how much, okay, per service if we need it?
It'll vary depending on the type of service. So if we issued a new bond, that cost would be more significant than if they're assisting us on the line of credit or doing a review of the existing bonds. This is just creating a panel of 3 recommended firms that we've had history on and that we trust. The reason that there's these 3 is Norton, Rose, and Fulbright used to be Fulbright and Jaworski, which has done majority of the bond issuance for the city of West Covina over the last 15 to 20 years. So they're very familiar with the bonds here in West Covina. Jones and Hall, they were the original folks who helped put together the CFD. And as you know, we're having difficulties with the state of California with the CFD. And so they're going to be able to help us out answer some of those questions as we try to seek reimbursement for the CFD. And then Stradling, Yoka, Carlson, and Ralph, they're the ones that just completed the refinancing of all the redevelopment bonds here in town to the county. And so by having them on retainer, they're very familiar with the city and redevelopment issues. So as we look at, like, say, the golf course bonds or other bonds that we have issues with, they're in a much better position to help us out.
So basically, in the city staff, we don't have this kind of, talent to help us to do this kind of bond thing at all. And plus, okay, and this is, those consultants basically are helping for the old bond and the potential new bond in the future too, right?
Yeah. And if I may, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, bond counsel and disclosure counsel are required by law to have certain qualifications, to be nationally recognized, et cetera, et cetera. That's nothing that we could do in-house. Staff has certain obligations with respect to these bonds, and they work closely with the bond counsel and the disclosure counsel and the city attorney's office, but they cannot serve in those 2 roles.
So when you say hourly rate, so how much hourly rate will be?
It will vary by the proposed agreement and the work to be done.
The attached exhibits have the proposed contracts for each firm, and they list the hourly rates for each firm or the fee schedule that they proposed. So it depends on which firm.
Can you read it for me, how much?
Sure, I just have to. So Norton, Rose, Fulbright they range from $585 an hour to $1,000 an hour. They've discounted us as a city to $470, ranging all the way up to $800 an hour. For straddling, yeah. The hourly ranges from $425 to $575. And for Jones Hall, it's between $400 and $500 an hour.
So basically, roughly from $500 to almost $1,000
$800.
$800 per hours. And roughly how many hours? Okay, if for example, like last time we do the refi, okay, and how much costs us for those consultant fee?
It depends every year. Sometimes a refinance, it depends on the bonds. So that's why we would ask each one of them for a proposal for the specific thing, and then we'd evaluate it and go with what we feel is best at that time.
I think last time it's about $20,000, right? $30,000?
It may, but again, it depends. So, yeah, it depends on which one it is. But on, for example, the county bonds, were those paid for by as a part of the ROPS?
It came out of the successor, yeah.
Yeah, so it came out of the successor agency, so it didn't cost the general fund anything. But, for example, we did a refinancing of a bond, actually 3 firms. The firm of Norton Rose and Fulbright, let's say they did the bond originally, they may know the bond documents since they prepared them, so it may be less work for them to refinance that bond. So it's really going to be a project-by-project determination.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Councilman Toma.
Yeah, so I was curious, I noticed that the, who's this middle one? The, straddling, they had interesting, like a fee for each issue rate on that, on the bonds. Do you have experience with, they all have hourly rates, but I didn't notice the other ones have a fee for each issue. I was just curious, like when I worked at a law firm, sometimes we talked about flat, like just a set rate for a given project or case, but they're very unpopular. Like almost every firm just does an hourly type thing because that's what people are comfortable with doing, and clients actually tend to just prefer the hourly rate too. I was just curious, do you have any experience with this sort of flat rate for a particular project or bond?
Even though the other 2 contracts in here don't show that, I did see from some of the other proposals that they did have this type of fee schedule proposed. So it was a variety of things.
Do you think that's specific to bond issuance? I don't know if the city attorney knows also.
Yeah, it is actually pretty typical for them to do a flat rate because whatever the amount of money is that you hope to get from the bond, you want to try to control what that total cost is. And so a lot of both disclosure counsel, bond counsel, and even sometimes, your city attorney in doing that piece of the bond does that on a flat rate basis. It also helps them to schedule in advance what all those costs are going to be.
Are there any other questions?
Yeah. Yeah, on these, so when you say we're putting them on retainer, we're not actually giving them money though, unless we were to use their services.
No, we would only be, for example, we are currently working with 1 or 2 of them on some of the golf course bonds and the CFD issues, and this would allow us to pay them on an hourly basis for that work, and then should there be a larger project that we need to use them on, as Ms. Buhagier indicated, we would get proposals from them, evaluate, and then if it exceeds the contracting amount, we would bring those to the council for approval. Yeah,
because it looks like when I read the backup that, one of these firms is picked to do a bond that, we haven't even discussed here at the dais. And so the one that does the infrastructure stuff, that would do the road stuff that's been brought up before. And so, what I don't want to do is get into a place where it looks like we're approving stuff that hasn't been authorized yet.
And I don't think that's staff's intent at all in doing so.
Okay.
If there are no other questions, do I have a motion?
I'll move.
And I will second. Madam Assistant City Clerk, may I have a roll call, please?
Johnson?
Aye.
Spence?
Aye.
Toma?
Aye.
Wu?
Aye.
Warshaw?
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. We'll now move to item number 9. Councilman Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I had this brought up because I had just a couple of questions on it. It was for the authorization of the fireworks shows at the graduation for Edgewood High School and West Covina High School. And on the back where it says the physical impact the West Covina Fire Department will receive a revenue of amount of $300 per fire code permit. So my question is, are these for the permits, or will we have any fire personnel at these fields, and if so, who pays for that?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. The permit includes the costs for a fire specialist to be out there on the scene of the incident. So that would probably be either Sherry Miller or Greg Layton, who are two of the city employees that are overseeing the Fire Prevention Bureau for the city. So that is built into the cost of that permit.
Are there any other questions? Do I have a motion to approve?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve.
And I'll second it. Madam Assistant City Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Johnson?
Aye.
Spence?
Aye.
Toma?
Aye.
Wu?
Aye.
Warshaw?
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. We'll now move to item number 12. Councilman Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I don't know why this is on the consent calendar, but it is. I have some questions on this. First of all, the recommendations here, you know, we're talking about the Shadow Park where the restroom was. This has been promised to them for a long, long time. Now, I looked at the project, the bid opening process, and I know there was 4 companies that bid on this. It's ranging from $600,000 to $382,000. But what the bid says is for the restroom and the parking lot. My question is, what would the bid be if it's just for the restroom without the parking lot? I think what the residents up there really want a restroom more than they care about having the parking lot paved. So what I would like to know is what would the bid be if we eliminated the parking lot and just did the restroom? And how much money do we have in the fund for the restroom? Thank you.
The 4 bids that were received, the proposal amounts that you see there, that's only for the restroom. The parking lot is not included. The original project was titled both a restroom and parking lot improvements. But when we actually prepared the bid documents, because of funding issues, we only went out to bid for the restroom building.
Okay, how much do we have in the fund right now for the restroom?
About $212,000.
I would like to see this, instead of just scrapping it, I would like to see it put on hold. The fund is put on hold until we can find alternative funding for that restroom.
Microphone.
I'm sorry, thank you. My main concern is, and this goes back a lot of years. Years and years ago, we brought this up, especially when I got on the council, about the soccer field that we went over there to Orangewood. And at that time, there was a lot of parents that were children when that soccer field was promised to them. Now, they were adults with children. This restroom's been promised to them for a long time. I really don't want to see it scrapped. I'd rather see the money stay there in that account. And like I say, they do have some playground equipment up there. Sure, it probably could be repaired or replaced, but it's there, they can use it. But I feel that we promised it to them. We need to do everything in our power to make sure it comes true. So my recommendation is just, you know, I would love to just see that, to place the project on hold until alternative funding is able.
Mr. City Manager, you had.
I just want to point out a couple of questions. The intent of this whole project was to complete the restroom facility. We would love to have done the playground on the lower level, playground on the upper level, as well at that park. Those are all projects that have been identified as priorities here. One of the things that we need to do as part of this process is go through and update the needs assessment for the County of LA Parks bond money. What I mean by that is that some of the projects in there may not be coming to fruition, like the Aquatic Center. It looks like the school district's going to move forward on that project without financial assistance of the city, as well as perhaps there not being space for a community center at Del Norte Park. Right now, based on the staff's recommendation, the priorities in the park projects are to replace a restroom or do a restroom on the lower plateau at Shadow Oak Park, the new playground on the lower plateau, and a parking lot. Those are the 3 top priorities of the park system right now. Not looking at that's including looking at all other parks for completion. One of the other requests has been made is to replace the tot lot on the upper level. These funds would allow us to do that. The Measure A funds will be coming into the city in about 2 years. And it's our intent to use those funds, not just for the restroom, but for the rest of the work that needs to be done at Shadow Oak Park as one large project. If the council wishes to put it on hold until that time, that's fine. We could look at using those funds and the rest of it, because those are park development funds that stay in that district anyway. So if the council wishes to do that or do the TALOP, that's at their prerogative. But we do need to have you reject the bids so that way that process does die off.
Councilman Wu.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. How big is the bathroom we propose to build? How many square feet?
It'll be a home.
Because for $380,000, you can build a lot of stuff. Okay, if you just build a 500 square feet, okay, of a toilet, okay, with a store, okay, and how could we cost that much of $380,000 or $500,000? Even you build a sewer to connect to the public, maybe loan, but that still doesn't cost that much of money. So my concern is why cost so much money to build a bathroom for almost $400,000 and the bids even up to $600,000. So the wages like $200 per hour, like a lawyer rate or something. Why is it so expensive to build a bathroom, a small bathroom in the park?
I don't have the size or the square footage in front of me, but it's a restroom building. It's prefabricated. It includes a men's, a women's, and I think one for both. Or
that would be even cheaper to build.
Right, but we went out to bid competitively, and it's prevailing wages, and those are the bids that we received.
So no any other contractor to bid on it, or we only restrict for certain contractor to bid on this?
No, we don't. It went out to bid. It was advertised in the papers. We put it on ciplist.com. So any contractor with an A license was qualified to bid.
Okay, with that, I will, was that a motion? Yeah, that was a motion, okay. I will second it, and the motion was item number place the project on hold until alternative funding sources are identified.
And that would include rejecting all the current bids.
Right.
And actually, I'm kind of frustrated too, because I actually remember the meeting. It was like in 2015. You know, I think the mayor at the time was talking about how that area hadn't had it, and I made fun of him because, well, he could have only agendized it, you know, and then we talked about it. And so this has been in progress since 2015, and here we are in 2017. And when I look at this, you know, because we're saying that there's a problem with the funding for it, but when I look at it, it looks like, you know, there were problems with the whole bid process, because questions were raised by the bidders about the stuff. And then the specifications provided 3 options for consideration. Then city staff issued another addendum requesting bids with 3 optional design features. And then the city did not provide a revised bid schedule with instructions that would allow the city to select the options that best meet the city's budget for the project. Really? We don't do that with our bids? That we don't issue a revised bid schedule with instructions that would allow us to select the options to meet the city's budget for the project? And then, and you know, next, underneath the bids, it talks about reviewing the bid documents. Staff determined that there were 2 of 4 bidders provided alternative bids. Without a clear and concise method to evaluate alternative bids, staff was determined this as a bid irregularity and recommended rejecting all bids received without prejudice. So, in other words, even if this came in budget, we would have to reject it. Right? So, I mean, to me, there was a problem, obviously, in the bid process in going through here. And I mean,
so are you recommending to rebid this?
Well, I think we should. Yeah. I mean, that's what it sounds like, is that the bid process was messed up.
I was second.
It's been moved to send this out to rebid by Mayor Pro Tem Spence and seconded by
There's
Councilman.
another one on the table, though, too.
Well, yeah, but yours takes precedent.
Oh, okay. Oh, I like that rule.
So,
Mr. Mayor, before you do, there are costs to rebidding. So if it does not come lower, we'll be in the same situation, and we'll have to reduce the funding for this project now.
Well, you know, I'm still a little confused on, you know, if we knew about this in 2015, why we don't have money in 2017. And, you know, it seems like it's a long period of time for us to go through the process. But, you know, if it costs money to bid, then we should do the bid process correctly.
And I don't disagree with that, but I think bringing up like the items, the addendums are typical in bid process. that we provide addendums to project. There's nothing new to that. With regards to the bid rejections, those are because a couple of those firms provided alternative materials that were not part of the bids process. If council wishes to go back out to bid, they're welcome to, but as far as the funding, this has not changed in the 2 years because there has been no new park money for the last 2 years. So that's why there has been no increase in funding for this project. We do have probably about $40,000 or $50,000 in park impact fees that have come in since that program has been put in place, but that still doesn't close the gap here. That's why we were recommending doing the playground. But again, if we want to put it on hold until money's come in, we have park impact fees coming in, we have additional monies coming in, and once that has the ability to fund this project, we'll bring it back.
Well, right now there's a motion on the floor, so we'll have to vote on that first unless you're going to make an alternative, or you want to make a comment. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So I don't understand. So if the idea is to put it on hold until we have the money for that, we would have to rebid at that point anyway, right? Yeah. So what's the point of rebidding now? We'd just be spending money and then come back and then people will be frustrated because we don't have the money to spend on it. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, to answer your question, I don't have the confidence in the bid process based on what I'm reading here that we got an accurate number. And maybe there's ways we can structure the bid to lower the costs and to explain that to our vendors that, you know, this is about where you got to come in if you want it, and see if that's possible.
Well, I'll defer to the Public Works Director. Do you think you'll be able to save $130,000 on a project?
Yeah, probably not. But the thing is also, if we rebid the project right now, normally the bids are only valid for 60 days. So if we cannot come up with the funding to fully fund the project, then you have to redo the whole process.
So you don't think we can do a bid and keep it at the 200,000 or under at this point
Maybe
in time?
one thing we can look at is to redo the whole design and not go with a prefabricated restroom and just build it ground up. Maybe we can take a look at that and see.
I mean, is that cheaper normally?
It may be. I'm not sure. We're going to have to come up with a design first and do an estimate and see how much it's going to cost.
Yeah, because, you know, even if we put this on hold now and say, oh, we're going to revisit it in 3 years, you know, what's going to be the cost in 3 years?
But it costs $30,000 to design the first one, so you're going to incur a cost for design, then you're going to incur a cost for another bid process. So I'm just making sure to bring that to the council's attention. So we're going to spend another 40 grand, perhaps 30 to 40,000 before we can go out getting new bids in. If the council wishes to go down that street, absolutely.
Why cost so much money for we design what we already designed? We just change the materials. So it's just alternation. So in that way, maybe a couple grand should be done. Okay, we're not changing anything. We just change maybe the fabric. Okay, we just bring the stud, framing, rather than just the theme much more expensive to put it on. So I think it would be cheaper. Okay, I think we can do this. Okay, in our budget. Okay, so anyway, I think the bid is just way out of my knowledge about just for a bathroom it costs $400,000 or even $600,000. Okay, it's like you're in the army or something.
We're still going to have to get an engineer to look at the structural details of the bathroom or the building itself. So there may be some cost still. It won't be just as easy as copying everything from the plans from the prefabricated restroom building manufacturer. So there's going to be some engineering that has to be done to make sure that it fits in the site with the geotechnical information too.
All right. I'll make a comment first. I think because of having to redesign it again, we only have 200,000 that I cannot in good conscience vote to spend that money and then probably not get an RFP back at that cost. So I'll be voting against this motion. If there's no other comments, may I have a roll call, please?
Johnson?
No.
Spence?
Aye.
Toma?
No.
Wu?
Aye.
Warshaw?
No, motion fails 3-2. There was a second motion on the floor to hold the money and reject all the current bids. If there is no comment, may I have a roll call, please?
Yes, if you want me to vote for this, I think there should be a date certain that this is coming back to the council to review. That's not something that's put off, you know, just whenever.
It depends on when we have the money.
Well, depends when we have the money. I mean, is that our standard or?
That's how we do CIP, is based on funding.
The question is, when is it going to come back to us? Because we can always decide what gets funded and what doesn't, or if there's other monies available.
It's at council's prerogative then.
So, but I mean, to vote for a blanket rejection and then for it come back whenever, I mean, I think there should be some kind of date that comes back.
I would say have it come back by, say, December, end of the year.
Do we have any idea what we've got projected for park funds coming in the next 6
There's very
months to a
little,
year?
if any, new park funds projected for the coming year. But what happens is if we can't, remember, we do get quarterly budget reports.
Right.
And those quarterly budget reports also talk about fund balances. So if there's a point, as we go through this process, the fund balance is at a point where the council wishes to revisit this, and we do revisit the CIP as part of those reviews, the council can make that determination at that time too.
So I'd like to amend the motion to state when the fund balances get to the $400,000 range that this comes back to us.
Why that number?
Because it's going to, we can probably do it for that cost, or we'll be in the process of collecting additional monies. We can't
I'll
do it.
second it. Yeah, sure.
It's been moved and seconded. Yes.
So, right, the point of this is we're agreeing that right now we have $200-something in park dedication fees. The lowest bid, and this was, how many contractors are on this list that gets, the RFPs get sent out to?
Yeah, it was
Okay,
sent out
right,
to
so 273. Okay, right.
273
So the
plus.
lowest bid that we got was 382,000, right? Okay, and so there's 4 bids, the lowest one 382, highest one 600. If we were to send this back for an RFP, we would have to do better by $180,000 off this cost.
90 days.
Yeah. Right, exactly. It's only good for 90 days. So even if we get that, if we don't get a good one that's $180,000 off this one, then, and we don't have the money for it, then we would have spent the money for that RFP and then we wouldn't be able to build it anyway. So, all right. So anyway, so I just want to make clear that that's what we're doing. So until we get the actual money, $400,000, that's when it makes sense to bring it back up. So I just want to try to explain this in case there's some confusion, because I was a little bit confused in terms of the discussion here. That is why we're saying when we get up to that level, that's when we put it back on the agenda to talk about it.
And if I may, Mr. Mayor, knowing that this is a council priority, as soon as staff believes we have the funding, we'll be more than happy to bring them back sooner if we can as well.
With that, if there's no other comment, may I have a roll call, please?
Johnson?
Aye.
Spence? Toma?
Aye.
Wu?
Nope.
Warshaw?
Aye, motion passes 3-2. The next item on the agenda is item number 13. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. On the agenda number 13, regarding this $349,000, okay, we are going to propose to do the, okay, cabling system upgrade, right? And is this fund, money is coming from our general fund? Okay, do we have the money due to the budget issue? Okay, what I'm thinking about this, I understand it's important to upgrade all this, okay, cable systems, so increase, okay, our, okay, for the people we see at home, also thing. But if this fund is come from general fund, I really propose, when we don't spend any money, freeze any proposal, any consultant due to the budget issue. I prefer all those money go into the public safety rather than spending on this. We can freeze for 1 year, okay, and then later on when we have money, then we can, okay, continue. So, but otherwise, right now, due to our, okay, budget crisis, I don't know, we have the money to spend on this.
Let me go ahead and try and address a couple different items. First, this is part of the IT plan that City Council approved last year, and the funding source of that has been the repayment of the bonds for the former redevelopment agency monies, that are not bonds, but redevelopment loans to the city. So those monies have come in to help fund these projects. We've already identified it. We would not want to use general fund dollars that are one-time monies like this is, one-time capital money, for ongoing expenditures of the city. So if this project is being funded, it is in essence, could be used for general fund dollars, yes, but it's already been earmarked as part of the IT program. And to not do this when we've done other IT programs, that would null and void what we've already done in the IT program. Because you can have the new equipment, new software, but if you have bad cabling, you're not going to be able to have that technology upgrades that we're trying to get here at City Hall. So that's one point. But the other point is that we wouldn't recommend using one-time capital monies for ongoing expenditures of the city either.
I understand, but when you mentioned about we approved last year, but last year I don't know I have a $6 million deficit. So if I know, I won't approve it. I was thinking about using this money to pay off all our service. The most important thing is a public safety thing. But again is this, can we just, I'm not talking about cancel this, I'm talking about suspend it, okay, for 1 year, okay? When we have money coming in, I propose, I think projection next year we have more money coming in than this year we have this major hole, we have to fill it in. So rather than spend this money, maybe we can fill this into something more important to what the resident want, okay? What I'm saying, I understand to upgrade all these cables is very important to our future, but what I propose is say, rather than spend the money right now, can we postpone for 1 year, okay, just temporarily? Is that feasible? And then this will be subject to our other council, okay, consent. But my point is this: right now, okay, if we have this issue, a lot of spending, I think we really have to really look into it. Do we have the money to pay for it right now? Thank you.
I would be against postponing this. We've been spending a lot of time and effort to redo our entire IT system. This is part of that IT system. It is an integral part to make it work throughout the city. And once that IT system is in, it will actually be saving us money with the things that we aren't able to do today. So I would be opposed to not spending this money at this point in time. Do I have any other comments? Councilman Toma.
I mean, the point about the fact this is one-time money and you don't want to use one-time money for your general operating expenses, but also this is actually going to benefit the police department and the dispatch center, correct?
That is correct. And the other concern that we would have is that we've already expended money on the consultants, designers, and so all that may change if we start putting the IT project on hold, that those funds could be wasted at this time.
Mr. Mayor, you sure it's wasted because this is suspended for 1 year? So I'm talking about we are going to cancel it. Just suspend it till we have the money coming in to pay for all those services. Right now, if we have those cut, we have spending this money, it doesn't justify. What I'm saying is this: just suspend this for 1 year, use this money at least, to pay for our public safety. I think that's what people are concerned.
I'll move to approve item number 13. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve item number 13. Roll call vote, please.
Johnson.
No.
Spence.
No.
Toma.
Aye.
Wu.
No.
Warshaw.
Aye. Motion fails 3-2. The next item is item number 14. Mayor Pro Tem Spence.
Yes, I pulled this off. This is applying for grant money through AB 32. And one of the things that it says, and this is for, if I understand it, some of the stuff that was part of the general plan approved by the council that takes away the parking spaces and puts the big green space in by the new downtown or whatever. Is that correct? And one of the things that it says in here that we're certifying is that we'll have sufficient funds to operate and maintain the project consistent with all the requirements or secure the resources to do so. This grant does not cover the estimated cost, which was originally $8.5 million in the general plan, although I've heard higher. So how are we applying for this grant now, and where is that money coming from for the other $8 million?
So as City Council is aware, there's been two different additional measures that have gone through that have helped provide a significant amount of new revenue for the city for public works projects, specifically this one. And that comes from funding from a variety of sources that could actually be funded to use this project. There's possibly using everything from Prop A, Prop C, Measure R, the new Measure M, and the gas tax funds here for the city of West Covina. The grant here would help reduce the future costs. The city could spread those costs over multiple years if they wish to do so. We could bond it if the council wishes to do so. It just depends on their funding priorities moving forward. If we get awarded this grant, that would help reduce the cost of the project. But at any time, the council can reject and not accept the grant if they feel that in the future they don't want to move forward with this project. But knowing that this has been placed as a city council priority and the goals and objectives of the city council, and has been a project that has gone through, the general plan has been approved, staff has moved forward trying to get this grant to help offset those other costs of the city.
Well, before we go through that process, it costs a lot of money, I know, to apply for grants and things like that. Shouldn't we have the discussion here at the council on how we're going to fund it, rather than say there may be money from all these different funds? Shouldn't we have a discussion? Are we going to take our road money and actually bond it, you know, take it away from every part of the city to put it in that one area? You know, we should have that discussion in its totality rather than signing off on bits and pieces of it as we go along. And, you know, that's what I think we should do. You know, because we're committing to do that when we sign these documents, and yeah, we can reject it, but rather than, you know, just betting something's going to happen, let's talk about, see if it's possible, if there's a consensus to do it, and then move forward rather than the other way around.
If I may suggest, if we apply for the grant and we're awarded, that'll help close the gap, and perhaps we don't make any action on funding the project until we hear back from the grant, too.
And then we just do well with the money that comes in, we commit it.
It's similar to when we apply for other grants for the city. When we apply for a grant, typically it's done before a project's completed in hopes that we get funding to help offset our future costs. Very good example is we were awarded a $200,000 SCAG grant, which helped pay for majority of the general plan update that we had to do. Not a majority, a portion of it, which closed the gap in order for us to fund it.
Yeah, but that was also something that was brought before the council, and the council voted 3-2 to apply for that SCAG grant. And knew that was part of the process because we had the whole totality of how that was going to be funded. And so, I mean, I understand, you know, that point of view, but we should have a discussion in totality of how we're going to get to the whatever number, even if we get this amount, because it's a large amount of money. So I'm not prepared to vote for this tonight unless we're willing to have the discussion and find out where all the other money is coming from for the other millions of dollars.
I believe, you know, we've gone through the general plan. We've talked about doing this project. Although some people were against the project, the majority was in favor of it. I think this is a good way to continue to move this project forward to get our downtown done, and I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Mr. Mayor, I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any other comments?
So just comment on this, you know, people talked about promises or ideas that were thrown out like a long time ago. I mean, there were dozens and dozens of people who came to our general plan session, downtown plan session. This was a centerpiece of what was discussed, and there was a lot of excitement about this particular project. And so to not even, you know, so we need to move forward in terms of seeking that grant money to get this done, because that is what caused the excitement. That was a huge centerpiece of the downtown plan and the focus of it, frankly, over all those meetings and all that time period. So I will be voting for this as well.
Madam Assistant City Clerk, may I have a roll call, please?
Johnson.
Aye.
Spence.
No.
Toma.
Aye.
Wu.
Aye.
Warshaw.
Aye. Motion passes 4-1. The next item is item number 16, Councilmember Toma.
No, this is the ballot on the citywide maintenance system. Right?
This is citywide lighting and maintenance district. That was you? Yeah. Oh, did I say Toma? Oh, I'm sorry. I meant, yeah. Be my guest, Councilman Wu.
I know. You look older than me.
That's because Tony dies.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, agenda number 16. Okay, I received a ballot at home too. Okay, and so I read through it quickly. Okay, and so I think a lot of residents might be kind of confused when they receive this. I think this is a chance, okay, for the city manager or somebody to explain to us, okay, because it's kind of confusing to understand what this is about. Okay, they have increased, why this increase. So I think we can educate the resident, including myself. Okay, so when we sign yes or no, will be much easier. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. As you may recall, a couple meetings ago, the city council authorized moving forward with a Prop 218 hearing with regards to the citywide lighting and maintenance district. As part of the review of the budget for the citywide district, a couple things have occurred this year that have made the city want to move forward with a Prop 218 hearing. First is, there's been additional costs for lighting. Edison has put in a request to have rate increases. That's been one. Two is we've had the city council has requested to go from an as-needed tree trimming policy to a 5-year tree trimming policy. So that's had incurred costs in the citywide district. And the other portion of that, as you're quite aware, is that with the recent state law changes on tree trimming contracts, prevailing wage is now required to be paid to those tree trimmers. So all those have had an effect on the citywide maintenance and lighting district. And that's why we're seeking the public support on this, because these funds are used to help take care of the lights throughout the community, the tree trimming throughout the community, as well as some maintenance in the areas and the medians as well in the community.
And then my question again is, when is the last time increase proposed to resident, the homeowner?
Thank you, Councilman Wu. Yes, the city has not raised it higher than CPI since its inception in 1997, Chino? In 1997. So every year it's only increased at maximum by CPI. This is the first Prop 218 hearing that we're seeking the support of the residents to increase it a little bit higher than CPI.
Sorry. Okay, so basically from 1997 till now, 2017, we never have a proposed increase in the history of West Covina for this, besides the CPI index increase.
You're absolutely right.
Okay, thank you.
I move to approve this, and the reason has been pretty well stated by the city manager, and we have had a lot of comments, and Councilman Wu has talked about the tree trimming, and that was one of the things that a lot of people complained about with the trees that had fallen and the problems that we had. We had a huge, I don't remember what kind of tree that was, it fell at Walmarato, and thank God it was at night, because that could have hurt a lot of people. Those types of things will be taken care of with this. So I will be voting in favor of this. Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Mayor Pro Tem Spence?
Yeah, I'm going to be voting against this. I voted against the 12% increase, and one of the reasons is the cost allocations that we have is, it's done on a percentage basis for the overhead, and so granting a 12% increase down here, even though our overhead costs may not have gone up, we're actually going to be taking a bigger chunk of it because of the percentages involved. But I had a different question, and that is, what are the rules on expenditure of public funds to support passage of this kind of ballot?
The city is not permitted to advocate others to vote in any particular way. The city is free, however, to provide information and to ask the agency, in this case the agency in the city, who have the right to vote, to do so.
Right, and obviously our weighted vote, because it's based on the amount of property we own, is higher than, do we get more votes now that we found property from the surplus property thing? I don't know, but.
We may have, but we also have the former redevelopment agency votes are in here too.
Yeah, I noticed that. I know the West Covina Unified School District voted against the increase with all their property. But so I'm just trying to get at, it would be inappropriate then for city staff to contact large property owners and urge them to cast ballots in favor of this.
They could do that in their
In the spare time.
private citizen, but
not
certainly not on city time. Yes.
Okay, great.
If there are no other comments, may I have a roll call, please?
Johnson.
Aye.
Spence. Toma.
No.
Wu.
Aye.
Warshaw.
Aye. Motion passes 3-2. And, yeah? He said no.
Wow. Welcome to the dark side, man.
Okay, with that, we will now move forward with item number 17. Mr. City Manager, who will provide this report?
Our city attorney will give a brief report.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, we are asking you to introduce and to give first reading and waive further reading to ordinance number 2318. This would make an amendment to our existing code section regarding decorum at the council meetings in order to remove constitutionally infirm language and make it clear that we are regulating conduct and not speech. This language has been upheld by the courts as the proposed alternative language has been upheld by the courts as constitutional, and so we would ask that you move forward with the amendment.
Are there any questions or comments? Council Member Toma.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that one sentence explanation of why this was necessary, because I couldn't figure out why it was necessary when I read the staff report. So the distinction between conduct versus speech is an important one. I get that. So I will support this change.
If there are no further comments, do I have a motion to approve item number 17?
I'll move.
It's been moved by Council Member Toma and seconded by Councilman Johnson. Madam City Clerk, roll call, please.
Before I do the roll call, do the first reading of the ordinance. Ordinance number 2318, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of West Covina, California, amending West Covina Municipal Code Sections 2-50, decorum required, and 2-51, same enforcement of decorum of Chapter 2, Administration, Article 2, City Council, Division 2, Meetings and Rules of Procedure. Johnson?
Aye.
Spence? Aye. Toma?
Aye.
Wu?
Aye.
Porsche?
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. We'll now move forward with item number 18. Mr. City Manager will provide the report.
Our finance director will give a brief report. Christopher Hajar.
Good evening again. Tonight, the item before you has a recommendation that the City Council appoint one council member and one community member to the city's audit committee to serve a 2-year term. The history on this is that when the audit committee was created, and it had an initial one member of each would have a 1-year term to start a staggering process. So on April 5th, 2016, Mayor Pro Tem Mike Spence and community member Daryl Merrick was appointed to the 1-year term. So we posted the opening at public counters, the city's website, social media. It was emailed to 70 subscribers through the e-notification system. And we also shared the information with Greater West Covina Business Association and the community service groups. And we received a total of 8 applications, 2 of which didn't meet the required qualifications. So you were presented with 6 applications to review for the community members. So now it's up to you to make your recommendations.
Do I have any recommendations? If not, I'll make the first recommendation.
Well, I mean, there's several people, obviously, you know, if we're going to go on a basis of having somebody new, like after a year or something, then that would preclude Daryl Myrick, who served on it. But, I mean, I do know Gloria Canderas, who worked for the IRS. I think she'd be very good. And, but there's several people in here that'd be very good.
Well, personally, I think, you know, any one of them would be very good for the system. The one that stands out the most to me is Dorn Barnes. He's currently the director for Foothill Transit and has a very large experience in dealing with audits for Foothill Transit. And because of that, I would nominate Dorn Barnes. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to appoint Dorn Barnes to the Audit Committee. Are there any other comments? If not,
I do think in the future we should have them come to the meeting, like in future times, so we can talk to them.
Mm-hmm. I was, yeah, Did we not notify them? We didn't, okay. I think that would be good to do in the future. With that, may I have a roll call vote?
Johnson?
Aye.
Spence? Toma?
Aye.
Wu?
Aye.
Warshaw?
Aye. Motion passes 5-0 to appoint Dorn Barnes. And now we need a council member. Do I have any nominations?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to nominate Mayor Pro Tem Spence.
Second.
I just want to make it clear I'm willing to let other people do that. I'm just trying to make it clear.
Are there, let's see, it's been moved and seconded to appoint Mayor Pro Tem Spence as member to the Audit Committee. If there are no other comments, may I have a roll call, please?
Johnson?
Aye.
Spence? Toma? Toma?
Aye.
Wu?
Aye.
Warshaw?
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Congratulations, I think. Hopefully you'll do better than that.
That was a JPA.
Okay, let's see, we'll move on to item number 19, which is something that I asked for to oppose item 1250, the Jones Sawyer Counties and Cities Contracts for Personnel Services. The reason why I'm asking for this to be opposed, because it takes away the power of the city in many instances to look at using outside services when that would best fit the city. Does anyone have any comments? If not, I'll make a motion to oppose AB 1250. Do I have a second?
Mr. Mayor, second.
It's been moved and seconded to oppose AB 1250. Madam Assistant City Clerk, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Johnson?
Aye.
Spence? Toma?
Aye.
Wu?
Aye.
Warshaw?
Aye. Motion passes 5-0 to oppose item or AB 1250.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
May I ask for City Council to do the city manager a favor?
I think this is a first.
It is a first. I would simply ask for, again, it's a council prerogative not to do so, if you would reconsider item 13, which is the award of bid for structuring cabling systems, which is the IT infrastructure. I know that there's an interest to delay the infrastructure moving forward. I would hate to see the infrastructure itself be delayed. I can find an additional $400,000 in the software systems that we could delay, but I hate to do that to the backbone of any IT improvements that we wish to do in the future. So if we can at least get this system in place and want to delay the software implementation, I think that'd be fair, but please don't do that for the infrastructure.
Personally, I would like to do that because this, literally, as I've said before, we spent a lot of money on this system. If we delay software, that's no big deal, but delaying this part of it just stops everything, which is going to hurt our police department, our fire department, our internal systems, any broadband that we were thinking of, anything in here with all that cabling. I mean, literally, we're going to stop all of that. Mayor, or excuse me.
You call me mayor already? Oh my God! Okay.
I was going to name myself again.
I 100% understand how important each dollar spent into all this investment. I understand. I doing all this in my whole life, but right now we just have the $6 million hole. We need to fill it in, and each dollar count, each penny count. And right now this is a $350,000 we have to spend, less for future, But what I'm saying is this: we suspended 1 year, just 1 year, But in the meantime, we can put this at least, fill the hole slightly. Hopefully we can fill it up. That's $6 million for gap. But 1 year, so I think next year I can foresee the money and this and that. I think this, you know what we're talking about. With that, I think we can afford the time to do it. But this time right now, I really do not want to cut the public safety and spend money in our future right now, just current. Okay, but I think next year we have no problem to approve this. But right now, tomorrow night, we have the budget issue, and we have a lot of things, okay? And this is thing, I really don't want to spend the money on it.
Chris, before you, I just want to update council. Less than 3 weeks ago, we had our cabling system fail us. Our maintenance yard and Fire Station 1 were not able to communicate with City Hall. That was down for several hours that day, and our cabling system, we were able to get a patch in, but it's not going to last us much longer.
This system is, oh, I'm sorry. This system is 20 plus years old. It's failing. It's necessary for just maintaining the day-to-day operations, not even advancements, but it leads to the potential in the future.
I understand. I'm not asking for cancel it. I'm asking if we can wait for 20-some years, waiting for another 12 months or maybe 10 months, okay, till we have this money coming in. Right now, we just have this $6 million home. That's what into us on our shoulder, and how can we balance? Then we want to save each dime to something more important to our residents. I understand the cable and this infrastructure is very important to us, but which one the judgment will be?
But it's an operating deficit. It's ongoing revenues needing to cover ongoing costs. This is one-time money that's been made available through repayment of loans. It's not an ongoing revenue source, so that doesn't fix the problem in our structural operating deficit.
Anyway, I already decided I'm not going to approve this tonight.
Mr. Mayor. Councilman Johnson.
Thank you. If possible, I'd like to make a motion to revisit item number 13 for another vote.
I'll second it. Is there any other comment?
Well, before we vote, I was going to suggest that maybe after we have our meeting tomorrow about the budget, we could at the next meeting have something on with the scaled back version of it if we found that was useful. That's what I was thinking that could be done. But before we vote on that.
Well, just so you know, you approved well over $1 million in IT improvements over the next few years. Is actually how many millions?
The entire plan was about $6 million over the next 5 years.
Right. So by funding this project, it'll still allow you that if you wish to take money out of future IT projects or delay them, at least this doesn't happen, so that way we don't have a failure in the system. That's all we're asking for.
Right now, we have a motion on the table. If there's no other comments, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Johnson?
Aye.
Spence?
No.
Toma?
Aye.
Wu?
Nope.
Warshaw?
Aye. Motion passes 3-2. To reconsider. We will now bring item number 13 back up. Councilman, did you raise your hand? Oh, okay. I'll move to approve item number 13. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve item number 13. If there are no comments.
Well, I have a comment. So it's going to be the whole thing, not the scaled back version that was just outlined?
Sorry, what's scaled back version?
When he's talking
you said
about,
there's going to be $400,000 in software savings?
when he's talking
Yeah.
about future projects, like the EDMS, the document agenda system, the ERP system, not this particular project, but other projects that were in the plan.
May I have a roll call vote, please?
Johnson?
Aye.
Spence?
No.
Toma?
Aye.
Nope.
Warshaw?
Aye. Motion passes 3-2. He can't remember his name. With that, we will move to any AB 1234 conference and meeting reports.
Wait, I have a request. Is that afterwards?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Yeah, so I went to the SCAG meeting as the representative for our city council, first time I've been there. And they had, it was a good meeting. They had a couple of good presentations on innovation. There was a particularly interesting one by Lyft in terms of talking about what that's going to do to cities with respect to the driverless cars, and they've got some new deal. It's been all over the news, working with fleets. They talked about cities' general plans and whether they're incorporating driverless cars in there, which I thought was interesting. Their predictions for driverless cars is pretty ambitious. I don't know if I believe, but they're saying like by 2025 or 2035, the major cities will all be using only driverless cars, which I'm a little skeptical of. But I think it was very interesting, and there were other items like that. It was a pretty good workshop. There were also a number of council members from local cities where we discussed different issues that are affecting them, similar to what's going on with us. Marijuana, group homes, things like that. So it was a day well spent.
Thank you. Any more AB 1234s? If not, do we have any council member announcements or comments? Councilman Johnson.
Thank you. I just wanted to let everyone know I went to the Upper San Gabriel Valley Municipal Water District Board this morning, and they were talking about Water 101. Very, very interesting. It's something, I did bring some literature. I left it in my car. I will give it to the city manager tomorrow. He can make some copies and get it. I think it's very interesting. They also talked about how we're all concerned, also considered concerned about the stormwater cleanup. And what they're trying to do is if they can get, I guess, the county that owns what the concrete flow through, wash that goes through, how the cities will be able to divert those stormwater into there and have it flow down where they have a big catch basin where they can take care of it there, where everybody, with the cost would be a minimal of what it was going to cost right now. And I think that was fantastic. They're working on that. And they talked about, some people were talking about the filters that you have in your house for filtering water. And they made it very clear that when the water comes out from the filtering, from the systems, that's about the purest water you can drink. It's actually better than the bottled water in here. The problem is when it gets to your house, people say it has an odor to it, but that's because of the pipes going from the street to your house. The lines themselves are clean. And that's when they're saying someone has the taste of chlorine in it. Well, that's because the chlorine is what keeps the water pure. That kills everything. And if you take the pure water without the chlorine, you can't store it very long because it's going to be contaminated again. So there was very good. It was 2 hours long. They had probably about 30, 35 people there. Valerie, what's her last name? Munoz. She's going to get in touch with the city manager. She'd like to come to the city council and give a report on what she's doing for us in the near future. And I invited her here. So it was very interesting. I learned a lot about water, which I didn't know. So I just wanted to let you know. Oh, another thing, if I may, and I've discussed this with the mayor, I would sure like to see it. I don't think it'd be that big of a cost. Our certificates we give out are pathetic. No, I'm sorry. I just tell you what they are. They're terrible. I mean, I was at an event Saturday night up at the culinary school where they teach and I received 2 certificates from them for the veterans and all that stuff. They were beautiful certificates. I mean, I'm telling you. And then I would hate to take one of my certificates up there and compare it to any of those. So we need to, I talked to the mayor, we need to, I really feel we need to take a look at this and upgrade them. We print them in-house. We don't need to go out to do them, all right, that's all I have to say.
Yeah, if we can make them look more like...
We are already in the process of doing so. I know council's asked in the past. I know Councilman Wu and I did another discussion about it this week. Please don't compare us to LA County because they do have artists on retainer that actually draw those.
I compare with Warner.
We'll compare it to some of our neighboring communities and make sure we get a nice card stock and a new certificate.
Maybe we should go out to one of our schools.
Duly noted, yeah.
Are there any other comments?
Yes, our LA Works meeting, the last one got put off, just so you know, but
because they have all that work to do.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'll tell you what happens when something goes wrong with a JPA. I'll tell you. But we also got a new director of the mosquito San Gabriel Valley mosquito district, so we need to have him out here at some point. No, but we need to have him out here, and yeah, that's all I have.
Mr. Mayor?
Thank you.
if I may, I'd like to also make an announcement. The West Covina City Relay for Life was top dog again this year. We did, right now it's at 29 something, and this week it'll go over 3,000. We have another check for 250 that's going into it.
Well, we have and $5 because Tony owes $5 for doing a lap with me.
Hey, I jog with Sue, okay?
Well, you still owe the $5.
I have two more things.
Oh, yeah, that was from the Cantucci Foundation. The other 250 that's going to be going in.
I do have two more things, and one of them we should have done earlier, but one is West Covina Unified just approved putting in a CNG facility. And of course, we're going to put a CNG facility. And to me, it's kind of stupid to have two CNG facilities within that distance. And none of them are going to be open to the public. And maybe we need to talk to them and see if there's a way that we can figure that out. So that, I mean, I don't know what the funding sources are on both ends, but I don't think there's a need for two facilities that close to each other in West Covina. And if we can have cost savings that benefit both of us, I think that'd be something that would be useful. And the other thing was we didn't do adjourn in memories, but Councilman David Spence, no relation to me, poor guy, because he was a very nice man and I'm not. And people thought he was my dad, you know, but he got elected to the council in La Cunada in 1992, and he just passed away today. We got notice he passed away, and he's been, and he just got reelected actually to the city council there. So, so we should adjourn in his memory.
Mr. Mayor, if I could just,
Yes.
one item. I did review the RFP on the tow contract while we've been having the meeting, and there doesn't seem to be any guarantee or promise that there would be a public hearing or that they would receive notification when it was brought forward to the council. So if that answers your question earlier.
We did the proper notification is what you're saying is.
We did what was legally required. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead. You had a comment?
Announcements today?
Yeah, we're still on announcements and events.
So I was at the Saturday at the Heart of the Valley 5K that the West Covina Rotary Club does, and it was a great event. They did a really good job. It was in honor of the Vine elementary principal who passed away very tragically, Principal Gloria. Actually, the last name escapes me, I believe it's Torres. So her family was there. A lot of Vine elementary students and parents were there also to support her. Vine actually has a running club, surprisingly, a elementary school. It's great. So a lot of these kids had come out in their Vine running club jerseys. Her husband is, I believe he's a deputy sheriff, and so I think a lot of law enforcement people came out as well. And the West Covina cheerleaders were there, the jazz band, the choir. It was a very fun event. The Plaza West Covina sponsors it every year. There's a health fair also, and so we had a very good time. I should also say, since I don't think we're not going to meet before the Memorial Day event. It is on Monday the 29th, correct, at 10 a.m., and I'll apologize ahead of time. It's my 25th college reunion. I won't be able to make it. I'll be on the East Coast, but we should publicize that as well.
Yes.
Okay, since everybody says something, I want to say something too, okay? Regarding the Mother's Day, okay, I represent West Covina into the cooking contest. So I represent West Covina. My dish, I got a 3rd place out of 20 of contestants, okay? And my dish is so-called spicy red sauce with a jumbo shrimp. So, okay, it's very delicious. And so anyway, and I told them because West Covina has a lot of good restaurants, so welcome to shop in West Covina. So thank you.
You want to? I'll let you. You do it now. Go ahead.
Oh, so now, okay. So I also have a request for agenda. Yeah, when can we try that, by the way? The dish, or when are you going to make that for all of
Well,
us?
he took 3rd because he poisoned 2 people.
I see. Okay, nice. All right.
No, the 1st and 2nd is fixed, okay? They sponsor the event. I'm supposed to be the number 1.
So I know we approved this, some of the police equipment stuff that includes a drone equipment, and I know LA City passed a drone ordinance at least a year ago, and some other local cities have been looking and passed their own drone ordinances. They are going to be growing in number, especially at events and things. They get into issues of privacy and safety with respect to law enforcement, and I think we should look at what LA City did for their drone ordinance and what neighboring cities have done for theirs, and see if we need to have one ourselves. So I would like to make a request to put that on the agenda.
and we will do that. I just wanted to comment on this last weekend's events. I want to thank our Public Works Department, our Police Department, our Fire Department, and some of city staff that were out there for Touch a Truck. I also want to thank Foothill Transit, Athens, Suburban. Who else? It was
the U.S. Forest Service.
U.S. Forestry Service, right. They did an excellent job. The kids are having a great time. I recommend next year we disconnect all of the horns. It was kind of loud consistently, but it was a great event. I also want to thank the American Cancer Society for putting on the Relay of Life. I did make my 100 laps, my 25 miles. I guarantee you I will never do that again. I could barely walk Sunday, but being in the pool all day Sunday was good and helped me get better. But thanks especially to the American Cancer Society and the Rotary for all. Sharon Hall from the Cancer Society, and the Rotary Club for putting on a great event. Also, Lazy Dog for the lunch, and again, the Rotary for doing the dinner. It was a great event, and I saw most of you out there. It was Kiwanis, right, yeah. And with that, if we have a motion, we had a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting in honor of David Spence, former current councilman. Yeah. Oh, from La Cañada. Sorry for his loss, and we wish the best to his family. With that, this meeting is adjourned.